mightily for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's 0 for his last 20.
Well, there's greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile as we look at Clay Buchholz's career against the Blue Jays. Certainly the man the Red Sox would want today in a situation like this, because he has a 2.18 ERA at Rogers Center. It's the second lowest all time here. He's won 11 games in this building. That's the second most all time among visiting pitchers. And look at this, the Red Sox 12-1 since 09 when Clay Buchholz starts at Toronto. He really likes the mound.
I'll tell you what, he's been a different pitcher. I hope that confidence continues on up here. He knows how big this game is, and he's throwing his best baseball.
Here's the Red Sox lineup for today, brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Dustin Pedroia will start things off. He's up to 328. Xander Bogaerts, then David Ortiz, who has driven in over 100 runs here. Mookie Betts in right. Andy Ramirez at first. Travis Shaw, then Brock Holt, Sandy Leon, and Jackie Bradley. Facing the Blue Jays starting pitcher, brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Aaron Sanchez, 13-2. Number 2 in the American League in ERA, and one of the best in baseball right now.
Aaron Sanchez was fighting for the number 5 starter spot in spring training. Now he's easily their best pitcher. Let's talk about the Blue Jays defense, brought to you by DraftKings for today's ball game. Around the infield, it's usual. Donaldson at third, Tulowitzki at short. Goins the second baseman today. Encarnacion at first. Michael Saunders in left field. Pilar in center. And Joey Bats out there in right field. There's your battery, Martin Ketchen and Aaron Sanchez.
The umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. That's Marvin Hudson behind the plate. Jim Joyce at first. Chad Fairchild at second. James Hoy at third base. We're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory back Toyota certified used vehicle right now. The weather is perfect. We know we're getting some rain back home, but none here. Sunny day for the most part, and 68 degrees. The roof is wide open here in Toronto. And ready for the first pitch. Sanchez, the lean and lanky 6'4" right-hander, against Dustin Pedroia. And that'll be in there for strike one as we get underway. They're expecting about 47,000 here this afternoon. Yesterday certainly felt like a playoff kind of game. 97 in for a strike. This guy's great stuff.
A heavy, hard, sinking fastball in the upper 90s. You just don't see guys throwing sinkers that hard.
The 0-2. Pedroia with a home run yesterday, his first since July 31st, his 13th on the year.
Got a little cut fastball coming back out over the middle of the plate, and he hammered it there. What an amazing run he's been on.
The Red Sox would only add one more run, however, and would fall 3-2. Xander Bogaerts on deck. Look how close he is to Altuve all of a sudden.
Sneaking right in there.
Just 11 points behind the batting leader. It was about 27 points not that long ago.
And 58 points just a little while ago.
Down he goes, 97. Pedroia fans to begin the ball game, one away.
This is going to be a tough uphill battle for the Red Sox today, facing Sanchez with that kind of stuff. Pinpoint control. You look where they set up. Hits the glove on that outer half.
A lot of heat. Four-seamer, the two-seamer, knee buckling curveball. And he found a slider in spring training. Here's Xander Bogaerts, 298, 18 homers, and 81 runs batted in. But isn't it fascinating to see Xander under 300?
Got to try to find a way to turn it around. Just start staying in the middle of the field, going the other way like he was earlier in the season. Just gotten a little bit pull happy in the second half.
High fly into right. Bautista with the sun in his face, and he'll put it away. 2 down. Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. We talked about his ERA at 2.92. just ahead of Tanaka, the Yankees. Now David Ortiz playing for the last time here in the regular season. David at .316, 31 homers, 107 RBIs, and 40 career home runs at Rogers Center. He was talking about this yesterday, that he thinks it's one of the better hitting ballparks that he has played in throughout his career. He swung the bat here like he really enjoys it. Big fastball and a cut and a miss for strike one.
I think the worry coming into this season at 40 years old was that David Ortiz would not be able to catch up with a good fastball. He has been able to do that all season.
Breaking ball skips up there and almost hits him. Mookie Betts on deck, just getting started in Toronto. David has yet to hit a home run on this road trip, and that's inside.
Boy, you can just feel the power of this kid. He went into spring training fighting for the number 5 spot in the rotation against Gavin Floyd and Jesse Chavez. I think he won it.
2-1, pop foul back out of play. I'd say right now he's their best starter.
Absolutely.
3-1 lifetime against the Red Sox. Fans, be sure to stop by Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of winning.
See that 74% fastball when you're throwing a sinker that moves about a foot at 97 miles an hour. It's like trying to hit a golf. It's like trying to hit a bowling ball.
2-2. David stayed away.
You don't have to use too much of your secondary pitches.
Mookie Betts open a bat in this inning against Sanchez. Here in the top half of the first, and the 3-2. Checked his swing. He held it, said the third base umpire Hoy, and that is ball 4. So the Red Sox have their first base runner today. Thank you. And he'll send up Mookie Betts. So check in at .315 with 30 homers, 101 RBIs. Mookie right now in a little 0 for 7 skid. Betts stealing his 23rd base of the season yesterday, so eyeing a 30-30 year as he takes a ball.
One of the things that will make a hitter a little bit uncomfortable is when they feel like they have to cheat just a little bit to get to a fastball. Start things before they want to. The power of Sanchez makes you do that.
Fouled back to even a count at 1-1.
Of course, the big problem with cheating a little bit is that you can get fooled by the off-speed pitches so much more easily, and sometimes you still can't get to that fastball.
He's facing his 4th batter in the first inning. He's throwing what, maybe 1 breaking ball? Just pouring in heaters. There's a bender down low. Mookie has reached base in 27 consecutive games. But it has not been a standout road trip for him. Ortiz at first, 2 away. He skipped it, and the count goes to 3-1.
Talked a little bit about it with Mookie Betts. I always feel like if he starts to get a little bit tired, he starts hitting a lot of fly balls. He has done a lot of that on this trip. Needs a little bit of a resurgence.
229 in September without a home run. In fact, just a couple of extra base hits this month for Mookie Betts. Red Sox need him to heat up again. Foul tipped and held. And the count goes to 3-2.
That's a pitch earlier in the season, or when Mookie Betts is feeling on top of his game, he crushes.
David Ortiz chatting up his good friend Encarnacion. David runs. Swing line toward right center. Bit fooled there is Pilar, and it's over his head. Boy, that ate him alive. Here comes David Ortiz rounding third. Going to be a play at the plate. It's offline, and the Red Sox have the lead. And Pilar, a great outfielder, absolutely butchered that. And the Red Sox get a gift run.
That's a combination of two things, Dave. Number one, when Mookie Betts hits one on the screws, it takes a second gear. And then you look at Pilar, he doesn't think this ball's hit very hard. He comes in 4 or 5 steps, it's up over his head. You don't see him make a mistake like that very often.
Like almost never.
Never. That is a gift right there. But as I talked about, Mookie, when he puts one right on the screws, as you see Big Poppy coming around, he knows there's going to be a play. Good thing that throw was offline.
Imagine that'll be a 2-base hit for Mookie Betts, as Hanley Ramirez will climb in at 285 with 22 home runs and loops a foul back out of play.
And again, a great sign for Mookie Betts as we see a hard line drive hit in that at bat.
Betts driving in his 102nd run, although a ball that should have been caught.
Absolutely should have caught that.
Even though it was hit hard, that ball should have been caught. So the Sox fortunate, they'll take it against this guy. The walk paid off, and Poppy came churning home, and that's in for a strike at 96. Hanley and Dustin Pedroia have really had the best road trips of any of the Red Sox so far. Hanley's driven in 9 runs in 8 games played.
A lot of fortunate things happened on that Betts double. Big Poppy was on the move because of the 3-2 count. That helped him score all the way from first.
Sanchez with the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Down he goes, strike 3. But the Red Sox come up with a first inning run that Pilar should have caught. 1-0 Boston. Chevy dealers, Travis Donaldson, Encarnacion, then it's Jose Bautista, Russell Martin, and Tulowitzki. Saunders, Pilar, and Goins rounding out the lineup against the Sox starting pitcher Clay Buchholz, presented by your New England Audi dealers. Coming in 6-10, a 4.99 ERA, and he has a 1-0 lead.
I think you throw those numbers out the window. The 6-10 record, the ERA up around 5. It's not the guy that he has been lately. He's been far better.
And Rogers Center, Toronto, is one of his favorite venues. 11-3, 2.18 is ERA here. Routine fly ball to Mookie Betts to start it off the bat of Travis, who's had a terrific series with 6 hits.
Let's check in the Red Sox defense, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Shaw at third, Bogarts at short, Petey over at second base, and Hanley Ramirez at first. In the outfield, it's a good one. Brock Holt in left field, Bradley Jr. in center, Mookie Betts in right field. And there's your battery. Sandy Leon doing the catching for Clay Buchholz today.
Toronto last week led the division by 2 games. Today they trail the Red Sox by 1, and the biggest reason is they're not hitting. And Donaldson is right in the middle of that problem. He's in an 0 for 20 slump. First pitch swing, he pops it up a mile, and Bogarts is there in left field.
0 for 21.
He's now 0 for 21.
You know, and this is to me the complete difference with Clay Buchholz for me. And I know he's only thrown 3 pitches, but he's thrown 3 strikes. He's going after hitters now. He's not picking the corners. He's not trying to be too cute. He's saying, let's go.
Overall, his last 4 starts, Clay is 2-0, a 2.31 ERA. And frankly, has looked like the Clay Buchholz who got on some great runs for the Red Sox in years past. Not the guy we saw earlier this season. He's completely turned things around. Here's Encarnacion looking at a strike. That goes right to your point, strike 1.
Yeah, and I think that is the big difference, commanding the strike zone and throwing the ball over the plate. No more 100 pitches through 5 innings for Clay Buchholz.
The 0-1. This is a guy that he has dominated, and not many have. Encarnacion's had a great year. 37 homers, 112 RBIs, but look at those numbers against Clay. 195, and that's a lot of appearances.
Seen all fastballs out of Clay. Unless they decide to go upstairs, you'll probably see a breaking ball here.
One and 2. Batista on deck. Buchholz trying to make this a fast first.
Ooh.
He missed away. 2-2. Blue Jays have Tampa Bay in for the next 3, and then they head out to the West Coast to play the Angels and Seattle. So they still have a West Coast trip to come. Seattle 3.5 out in the wild card race, so those are going to be tough games. 2-2, and a shot drilled deep to left field. Holt backing up, turning around, it gets out of here. And quickly tied here in the first inning. Encarnacion with his 38. And the Sox did not have the lead very long.
Yeah, I think he just got a little predictable in this at-bat. That's a cut fastball right there that doesn't move far enough off the hitting zone. After he got ahead 0-2, then he wasted a couple pitches, and then you're a little more predictable about coming in with a fastball again.
Here's Batista at 229 with 17 home runs. His numbers have not been good against Clay Buchholz, just 230 lifetime with 1 home run, but Encarnacion's were worse. Tied up 1-1 in the first.
They've been talking about Batista really slowing down as a hitter at the plate, especially on fastballs. He's having a very difficult time catching up with a good fastball.
He's going to be 36 in October and a free agent. 2-0 misses for ball 3. He's had some great seasons here in Toronto, of course. He had 40 home runs, 114 RBIs last year, had that 54 home run season back in 2010.
He became a star when he got here in Toronto.
3-0 taken all the way for a strike. They had him in the leadoff spot, but decided to move him down because he's been such a good run producer. They were scuffling so mightily to score runs. So he's batting cleanup today. Here's the 3-1. He drops in a strike right on the corner.
He was in that leadoff position for about half the season. Just last Wednesday did they drop him back down. It's a pretty good pitch by Clay right here.
Trying to put away Joey Bats with the bases empty and a run in. Martin would be next. The 3-2. Breaking ball popped him up foul territory, but it drifts out of play. The most popular way to follow the Red Sox postseason push is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy game day, live game video, highlights, and more. Get MLB.com at bat on your favorite devices right now. Buchholz 14-9 in his career against Toronto. Deals a 3-2 again. Check swing. It's outside and no swing, says Jim Joyce. So he walks him. So Bautista will take his base.
Just surprised at pitch selection for Bautista. I would have thought the Red Sox and Clay Buchholz personally would just pound him with fastballs. We saw 3 breaking balls in that at bat. There's the pitch selection right there, and the pitch tracks where all the pitches were.
Russell Martin 242, but good power with 17 homers. Looks at ball 1. He's a 280 hitter against Clay Buchholz's lifetime. Earlier this season, Buchholz was prone to walks and home run balls. Lately, really staying away from those. But in this inning, a home run and a walk. Bautista with short lead at first base. Hanley Ramirez holding him. He's fallen behind on Martin 2-0. In there for a strike. Martin went into the dugout, the Red Sox dugout, after a foul pop-up yesterday. Mistimed his leap. It was a valiant effort for a guy with a bad knee. In particular, did not make the catch. The Red Sox were surprised to see him in there. That'll miss.
He's always been a guy I want to pop up. He'll be very aggressive going after it. But you're right about the timed leap. Probably wouldn't have been a catch even if he caught it, because technically he's inside the dugout already. But you see how the ball kind of skipped past him after he jumped.
Well, you can make a catch and go in the dugout. You can't be in the dugout making the catch.
Yeah, I think there might have been some question that he might have been in the dugout because of that opening where he started from.
Might have been in there for a strike. In any event, his teammates were lauding the effort after the game. Might have been the reason he did it, kind of fire everybody up a little bit. They had a team meeting before yesterday's game, players only, which was supposedly very positive. And they went out and won the ball game. You have a team meeting, you better go out and win the game.
Yeah.
3-2 runner goes, and pop foul. That'll be out of play.
You know, the thing is, this is the wrong time of the season for you to having to have team meetings. You're having team meetings right now to like try to motivate yourself. There's got to be something wrong. This is September baseball. You're in a playoff race. Yeah, you shouldn't need any extra motivation.
They played a gruesome game against the Red Sox on Friday with a lot of errors and base running mistakes. They didn't look like a postseason team.
Not at all. Came right back the next day, though, and got a win.
3-2 again with a runner on the move. Tried to hold up. And that is going to be strike 3. Down he goes, Russell Martin fans. But it was on the swing or a called strike. He is out. We're tied up 1-1. Weeknights at 5:30. Get the latest on your favorite New England sports teams. NESN Live presented by Cross Insurance. Russell Martin swinging and missing as the umpire rung him up at the end, but Encarnacion taking Buchholz out of the ballpark to make it 1-1. Go to the second inning. Travis Shaw, Brock Holt, Sandy Leon against Sanchez. Travis 1 for 10 against this right-hander. Hitting .253 with 16 home runs. He's had a really interesting trip, to say the least. At the top of it, he had lost his third base position until Moncada began to strike out at a rapid rate. In fact, he struck out 8 consecutive times. He does not look ready. And Shaw stepped in and had some big games. He has 4 extra base hits and 9 RBIs in the 5 games he's played on the trip.
Shaw had a big game the day before they took him out of the lineup.
The 3-0 in for a strike. A lot of talent in Moncada, but he's only 21 years old and he has been dominated by major league pitchers. You will not see much of him the rest of the way. Hit sharply, snagged by Goins on a knee. He'll throw and get him. A fine play by the second baseman. He stole a hit.
Very nicely done by Goins. The toughest thing for the second baseman here is to judge where this ball will hop. It hits the ground. It's almost like a short hop right in front of him. You got to try to figure out where to put your glove.
So 1 away. Brock Holt next. Brock in left field today, .260 with 7 home runs. And Sanchez is really pitching well, and that's been most of the season. Strike 1 is clockwork. Struck out 2 men in the first inning. He drew comparisons to Oral Hershiser while starring in high school in California. Toronto made him a first-round pick. And the breaking ball hits the edge, according to Marvin Hudson.
It's out of tiny Barstow, California, which is really just a stop on your way to Las Vegas.
I'll take your word for that. Here's the 1-2. Bounced up there. Sanchez was the pitcher named to this year's All-Star team for the American League to replace Craig Kimbrell, who would have knee surgery and open up a spot for Sanchez. First-time All-Star.
Won't be his last.
2-2. Well, full count. He did walk David Ortiz in the first inning, and Big Papi would power in to score on the double by Betts, sailing over the head of Pilar. And he walks him. So Brock Holt is on.
The most patient hitter in the Red Sox lineup today is Brock Holt, and he just worked himself a walk.
Did you miss today's Killer Bees edition of NESN Clubhouse? We'll catch the encore presentation today following our Red Sox coverage. NESN Clubhouse presented by Delta Dental of Massachusetts. Sandy Leon now 351 with 7 home runs. Jackie Bradley after him. Red Sox 1 and Toronto 1 here in the second. Red Sox trying to get out of Canada with a 2-game lead in the division. Trying to end the road trip at 6-3. Finally done with the West Coast.
It's about time.
As nice as the weather was, great to be free of those really long flights for this Red Sox team.
Still another really long road trip, but at least it's all within the division.
Well, that's right. Coming up on the 19th of September, the Red Sox go to Baltimore, and they can settle in there. That's going to be 4 games. Then Tampa Bay for 3, an off day, and then 3 against the Yankees in New York. And it will be a lengthy trip.
It's the way the Red Sox do it in the second half. They come home for 6, they go away for 11.
2-0 into the dirt. It trickles underneath Martin, and so Holt can advance to second base, as Martin could not slow it down enough. Take a peek at that schedule. Will be great to be home on Monday against the Orioles for 3 and the Yankees for 4 giant games.
How about those Yankees? Goodness. Got themselves right back into the hunt.
Won 7 in a row, 8 out of 10. And they start play today just 3 games out, although they are in 4th place. Runner goes. Pitch low. Here's the throw. The tag. It's dropped. It's dropped. And he's going to be safe. Third base umpire James Hoy was ringing him up. He did not see it come free until about 3 seconds after Holt was safe.
All of his concentration was on the play in front of him. He didn't see the ball pop out of the glove of Donaldson. Watch this play as it unfolds. Very aggressive move. Once again, Donaldson very good at blocking the base. He'll just put his knee down right in front of the base, and that's the second time we've seen him in this series drop a ball that was thrown to him when he had the guy out. Had Mookie Betts picked off on Friday night.
This is the way that Toronto, yesterday aside, has been playing a lot of baseball like this, making a lot of mistakes. See if the Red Sox can cash in now. Pete Walker, their pitching coach, visiting the Hill. So Sandy Leon taking ball 4. They're safely on at first and third for Jackie Bradley with 1 man out. Jackie hitting .250 on the trip. 7 out of 28. Does have 1 home run.
Brock Holt trying to get an aggressive style going for the Red Sox. Risky play trying to steal third with the left-hander up.
In there for a called strike. Dustin Pedroia on deck. Tied up 1-1. Brock Holt going to second after his walk on the wild pitch, taking third on the stolen base. Check swing, and he fouled it away.
Yesterday in the ball game, JBJ doing what he does. This pop-up Nobody really got out there. Pedroia was the only guy in the infield with a chance. JBJ had to come all the way in and make the shoestring grab there.
Actually misread it, though. He went back. Froze on that play. 1-2. A little bit high. That barely missed at the top of the zone. Marvin Hudson said no. Jackie did drive in a run yesterday. And a 2-2. High fly ball into left. That's hit deep. Saunders backing up to the track and wall. It's out of here. That's a 3-run homer to the opposite field for Jackie Bradley. And the Red Sox open up the lead in Toronto. Number 24 for Jackie.
Such a great approach in this at-bat for a left-handed hitter with a guy who's throwing you that hard-sinking fastball. If he runs it away from you, you got to go with it and hit it that way. It's a hard pitch to try to pull. Watch what Jackie does. Just goes right with that pitch, lays that bat right through the hitting zone, trying to go the other way with it. Look at the movement on that pitch. Runs right out to the barrel of his bat.
4-1 Boston. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Red Sox homer, Speedway donates to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway near you and pick up your free Speedy Rewards card. Start earning points today. A liner caught by Goins as Pedroia socks it. But Goins equal to the task. And there are 2 down. Back to the home run swing.
This is just so pretty. When that ball's running away from you, you've got to let it travel and then shoot it back out of there. This ball went a long way to left center field and out of the ballpark. Excellent hitting.
So 2 down for Xander Bogaerts, who is 0 for 1 with a fly to right.
You know, Dave, obviously the 2 walks have hurt Sanchez in this inning, but when you think about it, when the Red Sox have hit the ball, they haven't been easy out. Shaw crushed one to second base, and then Petey did too.
Sanchez has walked 3 Red Sox. They have all scored. That really burned him. Some of these Blue Jay fans are stunned. As good as he has been, the Red Sox already have 4 against Sanchez. Ortiz would be next. Here's the 1-2. He flares that foul. Xander's batting average dipping below 300 at the end of play yesterday for the first time since April 30th. It's been as high as 359.
No question, it's been a rougher second half for Bogey.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Hopefully that 3-run shot by Bradley will give Clay Buchholz the confidence to kind of settle into his next outing. As you talked about, hadn't been walking guys, hadn't been getting home runs. Gave up 1 of each.
Breaking ball fouled away. That was his 50th pitch from Sanchez. Well, the Red Sox did a terrific job making Estrada work when he was not sharp on Friday night. He threw a ton of pitches. That's a guy who's had some great outings against the Sox this year, but Red Sox would win that game 13-3. Hard ground ball, but right there to Tulowitzki. And the side is retired, but the Red Sox on to Jackie Bradley. Home run number 24 and taking a 4-1 lead. Today's suits are designed by Joseph Aboud, custom made in the USA of fine Italian fabrics, available at Men's Warehouse. Red Sox ahead 4-1. Jackie Bradley with one of his most important swings all season. With a 3-run shot to the opposite field, he now has 83 RBIs. And breathing room for Clay Buchholz, who gave up a home run to Encarnacion in the first inning. Tulowitzki, a .254 hitter with power, 22 homers.
This is without question the most fun part of the season if you're a team that's in the hunt. This is the time of year where every game you play is the most important game you're going to play.
Getting to that point where it's every inning.
But these are playoff games.
A dribbler foul. Saunders on deck, and then Pilar, who had a devil of a time with a line shot over his head by Mookie Betts in the first inning, which went for an RBI double to chase in David Ortiz all the way from first base.
That's a hard thing to do. Good thing he was moving on the pitch.
David does not have many romps like that left.
No, he doesn't. I hope he still feels okay.
No, I know it. The 1-2 to Tulowitzki. Clay's last start, he got the win at San Diego, a 5-1 victory. He went 6 2/3, 8 hits. Didn't walk anybody, allowed just 1 run. He was very crisp. Red Sox continue to get excellent starting pitching, even yesterday, as Rodriguez took the loss. Smoked into left field for a base hit. And so Tulowitzki is on. That's their second hit. In his final season, David Ortiz still one of the top hitters. Now you can receive free text alerts. Just text Poppy to 536-536. All this made possible by buyatoyota.com. Toyota's website for deals. Message and data rates may apply. Here's Saunders, 266, 23 home runs. You already know this about Toronto. They got a lot of guys who can hit it out of the ballpark. David Ortiz coming up next inning. He'll be leading off the third.
The thing that Clay Buchholz has been pretty effective at in his starts is getting those ground ball double plays when he needs them. Saunders tied for second on this team in doing so, 13 of them on the year.
Sox have that shift on where Bogarts is playing to the right side and behind second base. And now they're going to change things with a count of 0-2, and Shaw's going to move over to the right side of the diamond.
I like this alignment better, and the reason they do it, they bring Shaw all the way over, they don't just push him up to the shortstop spot, is because you keep your shortstop playing shortstop. The guy who can handle the ball the best, you want him in the best position to be able to turn a double play.
Saunders 2 for 8 lifetime against Clay Buchholz. Shot to center field. Bradley there, now coming in on it. Tulowitzki back to first base, 1 away. Frozen Fenway returns to Boston in January of 2017. Fans enjoy 2 exciting outdoor Hockey East doubleheaders, January 7 and 14. Tickets on sale right now. Visit redsox.com/frozenfenway for more information.
Here's the new rules of baseball, Dave. Watch Shaw, he's playing second base, but as soon as the ball's hit, his responsibility is to get back to his position, which is third base. Very unusual, and it's a new thing in the game because of all the shifting, to see a guy run from one side of the diamond to the other to where he's supposed to be.
Well, you never saw a third baseman cover that kind of ground before.
No. Only Shaw can do that.
Well, meaning the last couple of years in baseball, it's become routine. Pilar 266. He's homered 7 times. 375 lifetime against Clay, which is 6 for 16. Red Sox in the lead 4-1. And Pilar, a tougher guy to double up. because he runs very well.
Yeah, it used to be the middle infielders had so many other responsibilities than just catching the ball. They were involved in cutoff plays, relay plays. You had to back up areas. Corner infielders didn't have to do much. They might be the cutoff man on a throw of the plate, and that's it. Game has changed.
Here's the 1-1 to Pilar. Little blooper down the right field line, but foul. Off the end of the bat, Tulowitzki will have to head on back to first.
This is where Clayton Buchholz has to dominate Pilar in this at-bat. Got him ahead of him 1 and 2. Pilar is a guy who everybody knows will swing at almost anything you throw up there. Very aggressive hitter. Let him play right into your hands. Doesn't have to throw a strike in these next 2 pitches.
Yep. Helmet to the shoes. He'll swing the bat.
Hacking.
And a 1-2. He got him. 93 with the fastball to strike him out. That is his second K today.
There you go. Buchholz knew. He said, let's go. Good pitch, up and away. Might have been a strike, maybe not. Pilar can't hold off on it. He's going to be swinging.
Lexus making a pledge to strikeout hunger. For every strikeout by Red Sox pitcher, Lexus donates $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. 2 strikeouts for Clay Buchholz, and now he gets the 9-hitter. The light-hitting second baseman Goins at 186. He trickles one foul for strike 1.
You know, nobody talks about the turf here anymore. I talked to a few of the players. They say it's really calmed down. It's speeded up. It used to be so slow, and the turf grass was so long, but it's worn in and settled in here, and it's pretty much back to normal now.
Back in Tulowitzki, who started the inning with a base hit. The carpet in Montreal at Old Olympic Stadium was the worst I ever saw. That was essentially concrete.
That was cement with a little bad piece of carpet over the top.
Cross for a called strike. 0-2 on Goins.
And the opposite of that, in the old Homer Dome in Minnesota, it was so spongy. If you just hit a little bleeder, the ball would bounce so high you could go to second before it would come down.
It's so important for the outfielders to find the seams, to know where those are on the artificial carpet. You can see some funny bounces. Here comes the 0-2. Devin Travis on deck. Red Sox in the lead 4-1 early. Tulowitzki with a short lead at first base with 2 gone. And a 1-2 to Goins. Just missed. 2-2. You mentioned starting pitching has been a backbone for this Red Sox team. You go back 56 games, the ERA for the starters is 3.29. That is second in the majors behind only the Chicago Cubs. That's a long stretch of games.
They've been excellent. No getting around it. The reason why this team is where they are right now, offensively earlier in the year, second half of the season, all about starters.
Swing and a miss. He puts him away. Strike 3. Back-to-back Ks. Still 4-1 Boston. Game model last game bat is available for $129.95. A unique keepsake, only 5,000 made. Call Big Time Bats at 866-280-BATS or go to BigTimeBats.com right now. Ortiz knocks one foul for a strike as we get the third inning underway. The Red Sox with a 4-1 lead. 3-run homer from Jackie Bradley Jr. Number 24. He now has more RBIs than Xander Bogaerts does. 83.
Yep.
David walked and scored in the first inning. Red Sox got a gift run when Betts double, which should have been caught by Pilar. A Gold Glove candidate went sailing over his head all the way to the wall.
Huge break in this ball game in the early going, and then in the second inning, Sanchez got himself in trouble with the walks.
High fly ball driven deep to center field. Pilar got twisted around. He's at the base of the wall to leap up, and he made the play. So perhaps atoning right there. Wasn't going to go out of the ballpark and never looked like it would. High twisting fly ball that he hauls in. A well-timed leap.
This is what the kid does out there. He's very, very good. We see so many great center fielders in the American League East. He gets back there. He knows where the wall is. And he times his jump to get up there and make the play. Battling the sun.
Mookie Betts now with that RBI double. He's driven in 102 runs and has reached base in 28 straight. A double broke and 0 for 7 for Mookie.
We've talked so much about the balls that David's hit off the wall and all over the ballpark where he's unable to get doubles. And he makes the excellent point of everyone plays me so deep. When I hit a ball off the wall, they're already out there. And in the case of that ball right there, Pilar's already playing deeper. It's either got to go out of the ballpark or he's not going to get a hit.
You would not call that, even though it was a leaping catch at the fence, you would not call that a spectacular play for a guy like that.
Yeah, he does that in his sleep.
That's going to be ball 4. So Sanchez has already walked 4 men in the game, and the first 3 came in to score.
Let's keep that trend going.
Tonight on Charlie Moore Outdoors, Charlie heads to Cape Cod to go fishing with Hanley Ramirez. The two get a surprise visit from Boston Mayor Marty Walsh. Catch all the fun tonight at 6 right here on Nesson.
Hanley's one of those guys that's going to have to turn it up a notch from a guy like Sanchez.
He's 1 for 9 in his career against the right-hander.
Talked a lot on this road trip about Hanley sitting on breaking balls at time, knowing that he can handle that pitch. A good fastball can get in on the hands of Hanley these days, but you better throw the good one.
Mookie with 23 stolen bases, not running. And a breaking ball misses outside on Hanley, who is now in the top 10 in the American League in RBIs with 93. Hanley has enjoyed an excellent season. On the way to 100 RBIs for the second time in his career. I think we talked to death the whole issue of first base and how comfortable he's looked for the most part over there all season since spring training. It's really been a non-issue.
He's hit .358 over his last 25 games. That's nearly a month. That's some good hitting for a long period of time.
Red Sox leading here 4-1 in the third. After today, the Sox schedule evens out after all these road games. 20 games will be left, 10 at Fenway and 10 on the road. Sanchez with a 2-0. High chopper along the line. It's a fair ball. Throw into second in time. Not in time to double him up. Donaldson, an outstanding play. Dipping down to get that. Barely fair, and Ramirez safe at first base.
This is a fantastic defensive play by Donaldson right here. Number 1, catching that ball on the big hop. If it bounces again, he's in trouble. And then having the presence of mind to go to second base on this play to cut down Mookie. Most third basemen would have said, wait a minute, Mookie's too fast. He's going to get there. I better take the one out at first.
Donaldson, a former catcher. Not too many former catchers make that play. Travis Shaw 0 for 1. He is grounded to second. 2 down, and now Ramirez the runner. And a high twisting pop into left center field. Saunders says he has it. That'll retire the second. So for the first time, the Red Sox take a walk, but that man fails to score. 4-1 Boston. After the game, TC and Dennis Eckersley break it all down. You'll hear from Clay Buchholz and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason. And Eck will be in the booth with me on Monday for the start of the homestand. As Travis pops one up, Hanley battling the sun and reaches and makes the play. He had an extra couple of steps before he got to that barrier.
Way tougher play today because he really had to battle the sun. So his concentration is on the ball the whole time. So he has to feel that barrier coming up on him. He doesn't get a chance to look at it. Nice play. So funny, isn't it, Dave? The plays he's been able to make over at first base on pop-ups like that in left field last year, you weren't confident at all that he was going to catch it.
Here's Josh Donaldson, 0 for 1 with a pop to short, 0 for his last 21. So he is slumping at the wrong time for Toronto, certainly. 3 for 15 in his career against Clay. Base is empty, 0-1 pitch. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. One breaking ball and looked like a pretty good one, but he did not get the call from Hudson.
I mean, absolutely jelly-legged Donaldson on that pitch. He didn't know what to do with it.
I see more umpires fooled by good curveballs than any other pitch.
Because very few guys have a good one. Very few pitchers throw a good curveball. They don't see it as much either.
Tried to hold up. They do appeal, and he did. No swing. The tempers flared here in mid-August after Donaldson struck out and threw his bat entering the dugout. Manager John Gibbons was not pleased. It nearly hit Gibbons. The two argued after that. They had to be separated in that dugout. They got nose to nose. 3-1 in there for a called strike. Later, Donaldson said, well, actually what happened was Gibby is wearing a new cologne I really liked. I wanted to get close and really get a good whiff of it and ask him where he got it. They both downplayed the incident, but Gibbons almost got drilled by that bat.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you don't want to see an incident like that at all, but the Jays did nothing but win right after that.
3-2. And that barely missed. He walks him with that pitch just below the knee, according to Hudson.
Tell you what, Buchholz got squeezed on that at bat.
Time for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Here's TC. Hi, Tom. Thank you very much. That's the wild card race of the moment. Two teams make it. In the American League and the National League is wild card. Shattered bat. Pedroia can't get it. He slows it down off his glove after the dive. Donaldson scampers to second base and stops there. Would have been a sensational catch by Pedroia. It'll be a base hit for Encarnacion.
Big effort here by Petey. Look at him way up the middle. He's got a long way to go. Stretch out and try to get it. I think Pedroia would be very disappointed in this play because he figures if he gets to the ball, he should catch it. That ball just almost took his glove off his hand.
I think if he gets to it and catches it, they double off Donaldson.
Yeah, this is a complete difference in the way this inning would have ended up.
Yeah, that would have ended the inning. Instead, he wound up at second base. Encarnacion at first, and here's Bautista. And even though he is not swinging it well, he does have 17 home runs. He took a walk in the first inning. Red Sox leading 4-1. Suddenly, that doesn't sound all that comfortable. That drifts down low for ball one. He started with a changeup.
More off speed to Bautista. You got to challenge him with fastballs.
Lately, Joey Bat's starting to look his age. He's got people around here wondering, is it just a subpar year? That is outside. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Will he return or head elsewhere? They asked the same questions about Encarnacion, the runner at first. First and second, one out. Long set and a 2-0. 3-0. Martin next.
This is where, in his past, especially this season early on, is where Clay Buchholz would not be able to rebound from. Got to find a way to get outs in this situation.
Spots like this have made Rick Porcello this year a Cy Young candidate. Getting out of them over and over. Fouled back and right below us.
How about that? Swinging 3-0.
Kind of thought he might. One career home run against Buchholz in 61 at bats. Donaldson, Encarnacion getting their leads at second and first. And no throw. Donaldson back in. Not many empty seats today. They are jammed in here at Rogers Center. Again, Buchholz really taking his time, slowing down the tempo, and Bautista will get time from Hudson. What to throw on 3-1. And here it comes. Ball forward. He's walked him twice. Now the bases are loaded for Toronto.
Take a look at the pitch sequence here to Bautista. Again, questioning a little bit the pitch selection and the pitches that they threw here. Bautista, first pitch of the at-bat. Breaking ball in the dirt, changeup. Fastball away. Now you're down 2-0. You got to do something. Little cut fastball there in the dirt. Now you got to challenge him. He's late on 93. Breaking ball to miss, 3-1.
So he walks him. He also walked Donaldson. Willis out for a mound visit. And Russell Martin will be the batter. Clay struck him out in the first inning. You have to be very wary of the first pitch to this guy, because when he swings at the first pitch, this season he's done it 39 times. He has 20 hits. He's hitting .513 on the first pitch.
Clay Buchholz doesn't have the luxury to pitch around him.
No place to put him, one down. And a breaking ball for ball one.
Russell Martin's been one of the hottest Blue Jay hitters over the last month. Since August 1st, 10 homers, 25 RBIs. He's got 3 guys out there right now to drive in.
So it's a big hits this summer against the Red Sox. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Clay. 2-0. Sooner or later he's going to have to throw a fastball. Try a little cutter there. 2-0 on Martin. He's been one of their hotter hitters in the second half.
Can't keep falling behind hitters.
Fastball there, but he missed badly, and the count goes to 3-0. He's in trouble. Donaldson at third, Encarnacion at second, Bautista at first. The Sox have a 4-1 lead.
Martin will not hesitate to swing 3-0.
And he walks him, and that's going to force in a run. Donaldson will score. A bases loaded Rockies walked 3 men here in the third and 4 in the ball game.
Check out the pitch sequence again. With Russell Martin up there, bases loaded. Again, first pitch. Trying to break him ball. You got to throw it for a strike. Fastball, a little cutter away. There's the first true fastball he threw, and he missed with that. Now he's in trouble.
Activity in the bullpen. Ross quickly beginning to loosen up. Here's Tulowitzki. Swinging a high knee drive into left field. Off back. Grand slam. The third career grand slam for Tulowitzki. Toronto in front 6-4. That took no time at all for the Red Sox 4-1 lead to go up in smoke. And Saunders will take one inside. The trouble continues for Clay Buchholz. Tulowitzki with his 23rd home run of the season. A 5-run third so far in this inning. He's all over the place.
You could just smell it coming. He couldn't throw a strike to the 2 hitters before that. Now he has to challenge a good fastball hitter. And he hammers the first pitch he sees into the seats.
That is a punch to the stomach. The Red Sox built a 4-1 lead against one of the best pitchers in the American League. And now it's all gone.
Well, you can't not throw strikes to a team that has been struggling offensively. Why you want to put them in a position to give them confidence?
Saunders lifting a fly ball to right field, and Betts and Bradley there, and Jackie calls him off to make the play. Finally 2 down. The trouble started with the walk to Donaldson, then Encarnacion with a base hit. Bautista walked. Martin walking with the bases loaded to drive in a run, and then the grand slam by Tulowitzki to put the Blue Jays in front, shockingly.
This team has had trouble hitting. They've had trouble scoring runs. They were just handed a bunch of them.
Here's Pilar, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Buchholz pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. His problems earlier in the season, the first 2 months, were walks and home runs. That has been biting him today. Both of those things. He's allowed 2 homers. Swing and a miss. And he's walked 4 men.
There is double barrel action in the Red Sox bullpen right now. You would have thought there would have been a very, very short leash in this game with any sense of trouble.
Embry also now throwing alongside Robbie Ross. And the 0-2. Pedroia to charge in on this. Up and over to get him, and that retires the side. But a nightmare of an inning for Clay Buchholz. Tulowitzki with a grand slam, 6-4 Toronto. Clay Buchholz there after he surrendered the grand slam moments ago. Also walked in a run with the bases loaded. And a 4-1 lead gone fast as Toronto has a 6-4 lead thanks to Tulowitzki. We go to the 4th inning. And Brock Holt, who walked and scored a run in the second, will lead things off. And Sanchez has not been sharp either.
Nope.
And it's early. So if you're looking for good news, those are 2 notes. Hard hit. Nice play by Encarnacion, taking himself to the bag to get the out. He got down quickly behind first base to snag that. 1 man away in the 4th inning. Sandy Leon will be up next.
Showed you that scene between innings when Buchholz threw the paper cup down and then went down through the dugout. There's a possibility that John Farrell told him he's all done.
I would assume that's true. Hembree is continuing to throw in the bullpen. Both of these starters struggling to find the strike zone. That's an understatement. Sandy Leon walked and scored his first time up, and Jackie Bradley ripped a 3-run homer. Sox only have 2 hits against Sanchez, but he's missing a lot.
Way too many walks in this ball game from both sides.
Then incidentally, the 3rd grand slam that Clay Buchholz has surrendered this season. As Tulowitzki drove one out of here to put them in front.
Now you wouldn't have a guy out there in the bullpen like Hembree is throwing right now if he wasn't coming into this game.
It barely misses, just a tad low, but he's gone to another 3-ball count. So Hembree will be coming on, it certainly appears. That is the case. And the day will be over for Clay Buchholz after 3 innings. 3-1. Hard hit foul. Bradley on deck. So to count 3 balls, 2 strikes on a number 8 hitter. And a shot to center field. Pilar turned around again, but he's there to make the play. He does that a lot. Eventually he finds it. 2 up and 2 down.
He's struggling out there a little bit. He had a bad jump on this ball. And he's able to outrun his mistake. Watch him in center field. Takes him a while to get moving. Now he goes back. Now he wants to turn around and see the ball from the other side and makes the play.
Here's Jackie Bradley now, 3-run homer in the 2nd inning for his 24th of the season.
I will also back up what I said there about him getting a bad jump by saying that that ball hit directly at you as a center fielder is the toughest to judge. You don't have a depth perception right away. You got to freeze until you figure it out.
Line drive and a base hit to center field. So Jackie is 2 for 2. Single along with a home run, and it gets the inning to Dustin Pedroia, who has struck out and lined to the second baseman. 0 for 2 on the day. Red Sox trailing here 6-4. And Pedroia trying to run his hitting streak against Toronto to 29 straight. At 28 in a row, that's the all-time record against the Blue Jays. Yesterday a home run and a line shot down into the corner. That's going to keep on bouncing. That is up against the fence. Bradley will be held at third base as the throw comes in on a double by Pedroia, who makes it 29 in a row against the Blue Jays.
29 in a row against this team. He had the home run yesterday, and he'd had his 17th 3-hit game on Friday night.
33 doubles for Pedroia.
You can't get in on him. We talked about this a lot with sinker ballers. The right-handed hitters need to get that bat head out and try to pull the ball. Lefties try to go the other way.
Well, they're coming out to take a look at Sanchez now. Gibbons, the manager, out there with the trainer to see if something is up with their starter. He certainly hasn't been golden today. 2nd and 3rd and 2 down. And the Red Sox threatening to grab a couple of runs. And we'll see if he throws a couple. And a walk off the hill here. And apparently just going to continue without throwing any warm-up tosses. Hey, how about Rich Hill coming out of that Dodger game yesterday, having thrown 89 pitches with a perfect game through 7. Dave Roberts, the manager, took him out of the game.
Neither one of them were happy about it. Dave Roberts said he was going to have trouble sleeping. Rich Hill clearly upset about not being able to go back out there.
Now, there was some discussion later that that blister problem for Hill had begun to flare up again. Maybe not a full-fledged blister, but it was starting to heat up. Here's the slumping Bogarts now. He's 0 for 2 with a fly to right and a grounder to short.
And it looked to me like they were looking at Sanchez's hand, his throwing hand. Maybe a similar issue.
I mean, a perfect game. You come out. It'd be one thing if he had 110 pitches or something.
89.
89. They did win the game 5-0. 0-1, a shot up the middle and a base hit. Bradley is in. Pedroia coming. Pilar, a bad throw. Down to second, Bogarts. 2-run score. And the Red Sox bounce right back and tie the game at 6.
That is huge for Bogey right there. You're talking about a guy who has not swung the bat very well on this trip. You have 2 guys out there to try to score. You can get back into this ball game. What does he do? Goes back to his bread and butter. Up the middle and the other way. Almost undressed Sanchez with that ball. Excellent swing. That gets in 2.
Well, you would have thought today had a chance to be like a 2-1, 3-2 game because Sanchez has been pitching so well. Clay Buchholz, in a starting capacity, pitching very well until today. Pedroia got it going along with Jackie Bradley.
Again, all with 2 outs. A trademark of this team all season long.
Here comes Gibbons. That's going to do it for Sanchez. So they're going to go to the bullpen. Cecil coming in, the left-hander, to take on David Ortiz. The Red Sox have the go-ahead run at second base. It has already turned into a wild one. In the 4th inning, we're tied up 6-6, and we'll have more in a moment. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. Subaru, retailers of New England. And by Bank of America, life's better when we're connected. Red Sox knock out the starter Sanchez and have tied the game 6-6 with Big Papi in the box. About to take on Brett Cecil. The veteran left-hander. David has walked and scored and fly to center. There are 2 down as he cuts and misses. Sanchez pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. 3 2/3. The man with a number 2 ERA in the American League knocked around.
It's going to go way up, that ERA. He had a rough one today. Got to credit Red Sox hitters too.
And doing with 2 in this inning. Bradley with the base hit with 2 down. Pedroia with the double. There's a flare into left field right to Saunders, who will make the catch and retire the side. They settle in this one today. Already 12 runs between the 2 offenses, tied at 6 in the 4th. Honoring the 1986 Red Sox season. Game number 142. Red Sox lost to the Yankees 11-6. Don Baylor homered. He drove in 3 runs for Boston. Heath Hembree coming out of the bullpen now to relieve Clay Buchholz, who went 3, giving up 6 runs, and he walked 4 men. Those hurt him more than just about anything other than the home runs, Encarnacion and Tulowitzki. First man in will be Ryan Goins to start the bottom of the 4th inning in a 6-6 tie.
Hembree's a good guy to come in out of the pen for the Red Sox against this Jays team. They're dominant right-handed hitters. A couple lefties in the lineup. Hembree's numbers against right-handers holds them to a .202 average. Left-handers hit him to the clip of .365.
Goins 0 for 1. He whiffed in the 2nd inning. He'll be followed by Travis and then Donaldson. Little foul ball off to the right by Goins.
You would think that manager John Farrell is going to try to get multiple innings out of Hembree here. Maybe go out there and give you 3, maybe longer.
He really has to. So he's staring at his most important outing of the season right now.
No question.
Looking for some normalcy because Buchholz had all sorts of trouble with the strike zone. I don't think he was in love with Marvin Hudson's strike zone, and Sanchez certainly wasn't. They both had trouble throwing consistent strikes, but in the end gave up key hits too on both cases, as that one is fouled at the plate. Clay tossed 63 pitches while he was in the game, only 35 strikes. He's been throwing a lot more strikes than that lately.
Came out and looked like he wanted to attack hitters early in the ball game, and then it just went south on him.
Went south on Sanchez too.
Yes, it did.
He only went 3 2/3, a 1-2. He won't chase it.
Every player in baseball will tell you that this is the time of year where they feel the most fun playing the game. It's how they react to these situations. You know, the guys that can handle the pressure and the guys that can't.
2-2. Red Sox coming back home tomorrow, back to Fenway on Monday night at 7:10 with David Price going. Price has won 6 straight. He'll go in at 15-8 against left-hander Wade Miley for the Orioles, who's 8-12 with a .549 earned run average. Game 1 of 3.
Old buddy Wade Miley.
2-2, got a piece of that one. And Miley started the year in Seattle, traded to the Orioles. Price with a win over San Diego, didn't walk anybody, with 8 strikeouts in 7 innings. Drew Pomeranz goes on Tuesday, and on Wednesday Rick Porcello, the 20-game winner. Rick now 20-3, a 3.21 earned run average. Has not lost at Fenway all season long. He was very proud of the effort the other night to win here. The 2-2 is fouled off of Leon.
Oh, this one rung his bell a little bit. See, his head was already turned sideways a little bit when it hits him. See him reaching for the ball, and the ball literally hits him square on the face mask, even though he's turned sideways.
So he needs a moment. Obviously a big reason why Porcello felt very proud of his outing the other night. Said the first people I'm going to call my mom and dad. He was getting all sorts of text messages, getting to 20 wins. It was here in Toronto last summer that he got knocked all over the place. He gave up 3 home runs. Later he was sent to the minor leagues. The 2-2 fouled back. Last year, a distant memory now for Rick Porcello, who's just been incredible.
Well, he's talked so much about how a win-loss record for a pitcher doesn't mean that much because there's so many other things that go into it. But he did say 20 was special.
Yep, that's a number you can look back on the rest of your career with great pride. 2-2, another flare foul.
They're just few and far between. There's not 20 game winners out there anymore. Last one for the Red Sox, Beckett in 07.
This is one long at bat for Goins. This next pitch will be the 11th. Being very pesky. The base is empty, nobody out. Bottom of the fourth, tied 6-6. Three and two. This game does not need another ball four. But he's on the verge of walking the 9-hitter with Travis on deck. And a payoff pitch from Hembree. And he gets him. Down he goes after a lengthy at bat. He strikes out for the second time. Red Sox season ticket holders experience the best seats, price, and benefits Fenway has to offer, including potential 2016 postseason opportunities. For information on becoming a season ticket holder, please visit redsox.com/season tickets or call 877-RED Sox 9 today. Travis has gone 0 for 2 with a fly to right and a pop-up in foul territory to first. He's been the hottest hitter in this series, and 3 more hits on Saturday, has 6 in the first 2 games. None today.
I remember when we saw him at the first part of last season. He kind of burst onto the scene. He's become very pull happy. As he talked about lately, swinging the bat very well. 7-game hitting streak, up over 400 during that period of time. But he wants to yank the ball to left field.
Biagini now throwing in their pen. So the rest of this day belongs to the bullpens for both sides. Here in game 3, the deciding game of the series. One ball and 2 strikes. Donaldson on deck. It was Donaldson's walk issued by Clay Buchholz that started their rally in the 3rd inning. Encarnacion single. Bautista took ball 4 to load him up. Russell Martin walked. 2 down here. Donaldson coming up.
That's what Hembree could do to the right-handed hitter. Just blew away Travis right there. Quick at bat. A couple quick strikes on him, and then see you later. At 96.
Back-to-back Ks. Donaldson has popped up and taken ball 4. Still in an 0 for 21 as he takes a pitch outside. We talked about his temper, the fact that disagreement flared up with the manager Gibbons after Donaldson had flipped his bat going back to the dugout a couple of weeks ago. He was traded from the Oakland A's after a shouting match with the general manager Billy Beane. So Donaldson's a hot-tempered guy, immensely talented. He's the reigning MVP, but hot-tempered.
Oh, they can't continually fall behind a guy who isn't swinging the bat very well. Doing him a favor.
Followed by 3-0 here. Encarnacion would be next. He's perfect today, 2 for 2 with a home run. And he missed with that one. So on 4 straight, he's on again. Red Sox are pitching to him today like he's hitting 500 over the last 3 weeks. He's been in a deep hole. Bruins season tickets are on sale right now. To purchase yours, go to bostonbruins.com/tickets or use the Bruins mobile app. This season filled with must-see matchups, so don't miss out on the action and get your tickets right now. Encarnacion belting a home run in the first inning with 2 down, his 38th. And he has singled and scored. He went for the downs there and came up empty.
He's got 113 RBIs to go with those numbers.
Does have one home run against Hembree.
You wouldn't think over the last few years there's too many guys that go to the mound, and Encarnacion doesn't have at least a homer against him.
Encarnacion to become a free agent when the season is over. He told him in spring training, if we can't get a new deal done in Toronto by the end of spring training, we will not talk during the regular season. That's exactly what's happened. I think they might want to talk to him now.
You would love to.
38 homers and 113 runs batted in, but looks like he's headed for the free agent market. And a big deal somewhere.
Meanwhile, Hembree is not sharp at all.
2 out to 2-1. Donaldson holding, and there's a high deep drive way down the left field line. He has done it again. Number 39 for Encarnacion is second today, and the Red Sox are again looking up at Toronto. That'll make it 8-6.
Falling behind and having to throw balls right down the middle. This is absolutely waffled to left field.
Past the second deck.
Into the third.
His fourth 2-home run game of the season. They have ripped 3 home runs against Boston pitching. Bautista has taken a couple of walks.
And behind again. Right now, Hembree has no idea where it's going. He has no command of his pitches.
That's his home run trot.
That's the parrot.
Bird on a wing. And that's how he likes to round the bases. He's done it twice today.
Take the parrot for a walk.
The 2-0 pitch in there for a called strike. And home run trot by Encarnacion.
Ed Wing.
And Hembree with a 2-1. Line shot to left. Holt backs up. He's got it. And that'll retire the side. But Encarnacion belts his second home run of the contest. It is 8-6 Toronto. Baseball in Nesson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Beautiful sunny day here in Toronto. Wild one here inside Rogers Center. Red Sox were up 4-1, fell behind 6-4, tied at 6-6. Now they're down 8-6. Where's this one going to end?
Got a long way to go.
Biagini out of their bullpen, where he's been a tough customer with a 2.43 ERA. He becomes the third man to pitch already for the Blue Jays. Mookie Betts has doubled in a run and also walked. He'll be followed by Ramirez, then Shaw in the 5th. So 14 runs on the board and just starting the 5th inning. A crack foul by Mookie.
The Red Sox rebounded from a wipeout inning. Toronto throws 5 on the board in the 3rd, and then they come right back out in the 4th and get 2 more. So they've scored 7 in the last 2. What do you want this offense to keep getting for you?
Well, today at least 9.
At least.
Noe Ramirez working in the bullpen for the Red Sox. And the 0-2 to Mookie Betts. Popped him up. And Bautista comes on in to make the play. 1 out in the 5th. Stay tuned after the 3rd out of this half inning for the mid-5th studio show presented by Buick. Man away for Hanley Ramirez, who has struck out and hit into a fielder's choice. Red Sox did tie the ball game last inning on a 2-run single by Xander Bogaerts with 2 down. And it looked like they had grabbed back some momentum, but not the case. That one stroked high and deep to center. Forget about this one. Way back it goes. Oh my! Man, did he crush it. Number 23 for Hanley. That'll make it 8-7. Well, you don't see many hit up there.
Not up there, and someone up there even caught it, but this ball was a blast. Hanley on a home run tear lately. Watch the eloquence of this swing.
Well, this was gone instantaneously.
Oh man, that is so pretty.
His 23rd, give him 94 RBIs. Over his last 26 games, he has 32 RBIs. He's hitting about 370. He just torched it.
Hanley has an outside chance of being a 30-100 guy this season.
Oh yeah. At this pace, certainly looks like he's going to soon reach 100 RBIs. Travis Shaw is 0 for 2. He has grounded to second and flied out to left.
Take another look at this swing. Hanley just attacking a ball that's sinking back into his bat. And Pilar just said, where am I going? I can't chase that thing down.
The 1-1 across for a called strike. On deck, Brock Holt. 8-7 now. Red Sox down by a run. Red Sox have homered twice. Jackie Bradley had the other. Toronto's already hit 3 home runs, including a Tulowitzki grand slam. Shaw got jammed and fights that one foul.
Now, Dave, I think a lot of people know that the ball flies up here pretty good at Rogers Center. If you hit it decently, it'll go out of here. But not too many people go up into that center field standing area where Hanley just went.
1-2. Bounced up there. Right into somebody's Labatt's. Way out there.
Boy, whoever caught it there had a good time. They were dancing and singing, jumping around. Everyone else out there was telling them to throw the ball back. I said, no way.
Estimated 444 feet. 3-2 now on Travis. It was longer than Encarnacion's second one, which went 440.
This is where Travis Shaw can get very dangerous if he's sitting dead red and gets one. Don't want to walk him.
One man out, and the 3-2 from the righty. And foul tip to the mitt to strike him out. So there are 2 gone.
Well, he got it. Sitting dead red, got it. Put a heck of a good-looking swing on it, just came empty. This is a home run hack, 3-2. Oh, you could almost feel how far that ball was going to go if he did hit it.
Travis with a couple of home runs on this road trip, not that time. And here's Brock. He has walked and stolen a base and scored. Also grounded out to first base. 8-7 Toronto. And how will this one end? Red Sox with a 1-game lead in the division. 1 through 4 separated by 3 games in the AL East. This certainly turned into by far the most fascinating race. First of all, there aren't many races.
Yeah, this is it.
Cleveland has a 6-game lead on Detroit, but this one far tighter. Here comes the 0-2 pitch.
People always talk about dog days. For me, the dog days are September 10th to the 25th. I think you're going to see a lot of movement between the 4 teams with different people leapfrogging teams. This is the time where the contenders stand up and the pretenders go home.
One-two on the way. Checked his swing and a pitch in the dirt. Third base umpire Hoy agrees. Bottom of the 6th inning, and Tampa Bay is leading the Yankees 4-1, trying to snap New York's 7-game winning streak. And Baltimore is up 3-0 over Detroit in the 5th. 3-2. Here Toronto leading 8-7 in the 5th.
Holt continues to be the most patient, peskiest hitter in the lineup.
3-2. Spoil that one. Sandy Leon would hit next if given the opportunity. A mammoth home run in this inning by Hanley Ramirez. And the Red Sox inch a little bit closer. 3-2, and it's downstairs. Really fine at bat there for Brock Holt. He takes his 2nd walk. And he is aboard with 2 down.
Red Sox have done some serious damage with 2 outs.
And have scored runs in 2 different innings today with 2 down.
Been so good all season long that way. Talk about the relentlessness of this lineup, how they just keep coming at you.
Brings up Sandy Leon with a walk and a run and a fly to center. And an extra base hit could tie it up again. You know, you have 15 runs at this point of the game, Steve, and it's not like it's a huge onslaught of hits. Combined, just 11 hits.
Ton of walks. Walks have come back to hurt both clubs.
And the home runs. Hold on running. That's a strike. Bit of a generous call from Hudson. That has not been the case most of the day with his strike zone.
That's right. It's been pretty tight. That ball looked like it was off the plate. I think Brock Holt wants to run. I just don't think he's getting a good feel for a jump over there.
Biagini will throw over, and he was leaning, but he gets back in. He was certainly leaning the other way. And is he hurt? Here comes John Farrell.
There, he had a couple little slide steps to try to get off. That right shoulder diving into the bag. Good quickness by Holt to be able to get back under the tag, but the tag right on that shoulder.
He will hang in. Been a tough year for him physically. with the ankle and the concussion.
Second concussion in as many seasons.
The home plate umpire is looking inside the Toronto dugout. Are they thinking about challenging that throw and the tag? And they are going to look at it.
They are.
So we'll take a look as well. This play is now under review. Oh, what do you think?
A lot closer than I originally thought. You get blocked out a little bit by that view. Let's check this one. Kind of get blocked out there too. Is his hand on the base? This might be the best view you're going to see. I think he's in there. I don't think there'd be enough evidence to overturn that at all.
Still flexing that shoulder though. So they're taking a look in New York. To play under review. Now they overturn it and they rule him out. That'll be the third out. Toronto in front 8-7. Red Sox with a base runner. With 2 down and Sandy Leon the batter with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. And they have an answer. And he's safe. Well, he's really doing a lot of work on that shoulder.
Do you think that he actually got injured on that play with the tag from Encarnacion? Because it didn't look bad going in, but then he tagged him right on that shoulder.
Well, he had exposed the shoulder, and that was a vulnerable spot. And I think the additional pressure of the tag.
Yeah, maybe just kind of pushed it out of joint there a little bit.
1-1 on Sandy.
Brock knew that he was in a little trouble there, so he was in full extension mode, trying to get back to that base. He's leaning, now he's got to really get back. And once he's on the ground with that shoulder exposed, then the hard tag on the shoulder might have just pushed that into a little dislocation.
That gets away. Holt heading for second. He's on his way to third. The throw will not be in time, and he is safely into third base. Been a crazy inning for him.
They need to leave him alone over there.
That'll be an error on the pitcher.
Sometimes you can really get yourself in trouble with pickoff plays that are unnecessary. This ball just scoots right past Encarnacion. There's no one over there to get it, and with Holt's speed, he had no hesitation on to third base.
So the Red Sox have the tying run at third base with 2 down. And a count of 2 balls and 1 strike on Leon. Biagini fires. Upstairs, a cut and a miss, 94 miles an hour with that fastball. The crowd getting back in it. And the 2-2. Flared foul. That'll drift out of play down the left field line.
Good spoil swing right there by Leon. Keep himself alive. Tough pitch. Might have been called a strike. This is when you can't really afford to let go by with 2 strikes.
Two and 2. Bradley on deck. .95 again, and Sandy Leon just gets a piece of it.
Biagini uses that as a pretty good weapon at 95. Not so sure he wants to throw a breaking ball in the dirt with Martin behind the plate and Holt at third.
Martin does have a balky knee, which has really been giving him trouble for several weeks. Here comes the 2-2.
Look out.
That one drills him. He will take his base. Holt back to third.
How many times are we going to see Sandy Leon involved in a play where he either swings at a pitch and it hits him, so the guy has to go back to third?
Boy, if the if the baseball hadn't struck him, the game would be tied.
Yeah, Holt would score. Same situation in San Diego when Hill was on third base, and we thought he scored on a ball that Leon swung at.
Well, off the shin guard of that lead leg. And another pitching change coming up. Crazy game here. Red Sox with men on the corners. Toronto goes to the pen. 8-7 Blue Jays. Will have more in a moment. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Red Sox within one. 8-7 Toronto.
Take another look at that crazy hit by pitch with Sandy Leon. Watch the location of the pitch. Russell Martin would not have caught this ball if it doesn't hit Leon. He would not have gotten over there in time to make that play.
So certainly would have brought in, it appears, that tying run. Jackie Bradley will square off here against Luke, the left-hander. Recently recalled from AAA Buffalo. High ERA near 7, but he's retired the first batter in 10 of his last 13 appearances. In this case, 2 down. Runners at first and third for the Sox.
JBJ's been big in this game already. He should stick with the same approach. Look for the ball away.
3-run homer for Jackie in the second inning. That put the Red Sox ahead 4-1. They didn't hold it for very long. And he singled and scored in the fourth inning when the Red Sox got a couple, and here he comes. Throw home. He is out. Brock Holt cut down. Trying to steal home. And that's how the top of the 5th comes to an end. What a wild one. Time to turn it over now to TC and Dennis Eckersley for the Mid-Fifth Studio Show presented by Buick. And still a long way to go here. Brock Holt trying to steal with the left-hander up there. Guys will attempt to do this because the lefty has his back to third.
And I'll tell you what, I think he balks on this play. It looks to me like he moves this right foot. Look, he tried to step off, but it looks to me like he moves the right foot first. Brock Holt trying to catch somebody sleeping here. Very aggressive play.
Not a real close play at home play, but you think he balked, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to step off, but it looks to me like he moves the right foot first.
A balk, by the way, is not a reviewable play. So you can't go to review on that in any event, but no umpire saw it that way.
Just a crazy play is what that was.
So on to the last half of the fifth inning. 8-7 Toronto. Russell Martin will lead things off against Noe Ramirez, who is back with the big club and working out of the pen, his 12th appearance. The Red Sox are looking for a pitcher who will stop walking people.
How about Eck and TC back in the studio had to throw away their game plan for the mid-fifth and go straight to that play.
Yeah.
Excellent reactions in the studio.
I'm still thinking the last time I've seen a Red Sox player steal home was Jacoby Ellsbury against the Yankees at Fenway, right?
Yeah.
And that was with Andy Pettitte on the mound, a left-hander. He's still flexing that shoulder out there.
If they sniff it out, they're going to throw you out. He was trying to get a surprise attack. I think the crowd actually alerted everybody to the fact that he was going.
Martin has struck out, walked with the bases loaded to pick up an RBI, and later scored himself on the grand slam by Tulowitzki. The 2-2. Big swing and a miss. Martin winding up, and down he goes for strike three. Now the last straight steal of home was Jacoby Ellsbury. Earlier this season, though, Travis Shaw, as part of a double steal, got credit for stolen base for stealing home.
Those aren't nearly the same.
No, they're not. Not nearly as dramatic either, but that's
Shaw
in the
will take
books.
it.
He'll take it. And here's Tulowitzki, who's been a big star today.
And Dave, how about knowing Ramirez being in the biggest game of his life really right now?
Tulowitzki lays off ball one. He is singled and cranked a grand slam. Tulowitzki grew up in Northern California, very big fan of the Oakland A's. The 1-0 pitch. But he wears number 2 because his boyhood hero is Derek Jeter. And a shortstop was born. Just like Xander Bogaerts.
Always known as the shortstop in baseball with the best arm. Oh, that's a good pitch right there.
Didn't get it. 2-1. Speaking of the A's, they released Billy Butler today. Recently got into a fight in his own clubhouse. Flared down the right field line. It's going to drop in for a base hit. And Tulowitzki has his 3rd hit of the afternoon. It comes with 1 down in the 5th. So he's gone 3 for 3.
That news about Butler isn't very surprising, is it?
No, not after we heard the story as to why the dust-up occurred with Valencia. So that'll be the end of the day for Ramirez. And John Farrell, he's going to want to mix and match today. He's going to bring on Ross to take on Saunders. So we'll take the break as well. Bottom of the 5th inning, 8-7 Toronto. More coming up. games, check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace, RedSoxReplay.com. Best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game. Another pitching change. Robbie Ross, the left-hander. He's on to face Saunders, a lefty hitter who's gone 0 for 2. 8-7, Toronto with the lead. And you can feel the intensity inside this building today. A packed house, about 47,000. Everybody leaning forward. Toronto trailing the Red Sox by 1. Baltimore is 2 back. The Yankees 3 back. Tried to check his swing, but that's a swing and a miss.
You asked a couple innings ago, how was this game going to end? And I felt like saying at the time, and I still do, with people on the edge of their seat, is how it's going to end. This has been a crazy ball game, not necessarily a well-played one.
A lot has happened. It's not been well pitched by any measure. But some big hits. Toronto with 3 home runs. Encarnacion has 2. The Sox have belted a pair. Jackie Bradley with a 3-run shot. Hanley Ramirez with one to dead center field that has not come down yet. Across for a strike. 8 runs on 6 hits for Toronto. 7 runs on 6 hits for the Sox.
You wonder how John Farrell will use Robbie Ross. Not a lot of lefties in this lineup. After Saunders, you go right back to the right-hander. A lot of options out there for John Farrell with the expanded rosters.
Up high, Joe Kelly throwing in the pen. Red Sox will have due up Bradley, Pedroia, and Bogarts when we go to the 6th inning.
That's
trying to hold up. That should be, and it is. It's a swing and a miss for strike 3, and Saunders is retired. And there are 2 away in the inning. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC and Dennis Eckersley have an update on the American League wildcard race and a preview of the Red Sox next series against the Orioles, beginning at Fenway on Monday. That'll be David Price against Wade Miley. Red Sox will be home for 7 games. Here's Pilar in for strike 1. Beginning to cloud up a little bit, and I would guess that the outfielders and the infielders don't mind that at all.
A little bit better opportunity to see the ball.
Popped up Ramirez with plenty of room. And Hanley makes the catch to retire the side. We go to the 6th, 8-7 Toronto. Tonight at 10 on NESN Sports Today, we have complete Pats coverage as they kick off the 2016 campaign against Arizona. NESN Sports Today presented by People's United Bank. So Jackie Bradley was on his way to a huge day after a 3-run homer in the second, a base hit in the 4th inning. He was not far away when Brock Holt was cut down at home plate as he fouls that one off his foot, trying to steal home. When you look back on that play, do you like it, not like it?
I don't have a problem with it. I wish it would have turned out differently. You have Jackie up there with 2 outs facing a tough left-handed pitcher. You're only going to try that with 2 outs. You're certainly not going to do it with nobody out. You know, I'm sure he said to Butterfield, hey, I'm feeling this. What do you think? He probably had the blessing. Said, if I get a little hop lead off of here and I got a chance to go, I'm going to try to do it.
The 1-1 in there for a strike.
I think, Dave, maybe you look at it, and I do too sometimes. I got guys on 1st and 3rd. I have chances to drive them in. I have a guy who's having a big day already at the plate, but he is facing a tough left-handed pitcher.
1-2 swung on and missed as he goes down to a knee and strikes out. 1 away in the Red Sox 6th inning. Ace Ticket, Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets, has the best seats at the lowest prices from bleachers to boxes. Visit aceticket.com or call 1-800-MY-SEATS, and Gibbons is coming out.
See, had that happened last inning, it wouldn't have been nearly as much fun.
So that'll do it for Luke.
Both of these managers are going to mix and match.
It'll be Schultz, the right-hander, out of the pen. 8-7 Toronto. More coming up in just a moment. Old question. Should Major League Baseball eliminate September call-ups? We talked about this the other day. Text 1 for yes, 2 for no. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. 1 message per vote. Changes a lot of things.
I don't know if it should be eliminated. I think it should be amended somehow.
Well, that was not one of the choices, Steve. Bo Schultz coming out of their bullpen with 1 down, and Pedroia, the hitter, he ripped a double last time. He's gone 1 for 3.
I like the idea where people have suggested call up as many guys as you want, but you can only use like 28 guys available on any given day, and you could shuffle any way you want.
I kind of like that. Red Sox involved in another 1-run game, and up the middle goes Dustin Pedroia for his 2nd hit of the day. So he is now 16 for 37 on this trip.
Unbelievably hot. Got robbed of a hit in the 2nd inning when he scorched a ball at the second baseman.
And a 1-out single in front of Xander Bogaerts, who singled in a pair of runs in the 4th inning to tie the game at 6.
Huge at bat at the time.
Then Encarnacion homered for the 2nd time to give them an 8-6 lead. Hanley Ramirez came back and hit one 444 feet to make it 8-7. Brock Holt was thrown out. Trying to steal home, and there's a base hit into right field. Pedroia will stop at second, not to test the arm of Bautista, who has a cannon. Xander Bogaerts coming to life here with a couple of hits, and now comes David Ortiz.
And what's he doing to get those hits? He went up the middle and he went the other way.
I'll tell you what, this game is being managed like the 7th game of the World Series.
And it should be.
Here comes Gibbons again, and with Ortiz coming up and a loaded bullpen, it's going to be Benoit. These two, of course, have a history. And what a history it is. We'll take a break. Red Sox charging again. First and second, one down, 8-7 Toronto. And we'll have more in just a moment. Era with exclusive David Ortiz headwear, apparel, and memorabilia. Available now at the 47 Big Papi shop in the corner of Yawkey and Arthur's Way. David will step up with an opportunity to tie the ball game. He'll be facing Joaquin Benoit, the man he hit the grand slam against in Game 2 of the ALCS back in 2013. Here he has first and second. Benoit's 45th appearance, a 3.02 earned run average. Papi today with a walk, a fly to center, and a fly to left. 1 down and 2 on. Pedroia at second, Bogaerts at first. Here in the 6th inning in Toronto. And a wave and a miss for strike 1.
Turned that over, took a little off for Big Papi. He was expecting something with a little more gas.
David, after today, has to pack for only one more long road trip in his career. This trip ending this afternoon. Here comes the 0-1.
Be careful going upstairs.
A high deep drive right field. Did he do it again? It is gone! A 3-run homer for David Ortiz. And the Red Sox are back in the lead. Benoit should know better.
Some guys don't learn.
Number 32 for Big Papi. This is some ball game. And the Red Sox lead it 10-8.
If you don't have extra giddy up, you can't go upstairs and get Big Papi, especially when you missed your location and it doesn't go there. That's a hanging split finger. He had just thrown him something off speed the pitch before. Papi's sitting on it and hammers it.
Give him 110 RBIs. Back and forth we go in Toronto. Mookie Betts now. That's a rocket down the line. He smoked it. But a foul ball up into the corner.
Dave, we talk so much about the expanded rosters and the extra pitchers you can bring in, but just because you have so many extra guys down there to use doesn't mean that those guys are going to come in and do the job. A lot of them haven't been here most of the season. I think Gibbons is finding that out.
5:35 for David Ortiz, and puts the Red Sox back in the lead, 10-8. And a little pop-up towards center. Out goes Tulowitzki to make that catch for the second out. So the Red Sox have hit 3 home runs, and Toronto has hit 3 home runs. Still a ways to go in this one. David Ortiz in the clutch again.
You've got to tip your cap to this Red Sox offense today to continually come back in a game where they could have laid down and said, we're going to get beaten this one. Not a chance. Last game of the roadie.
Here's Hanley Ramirez. He's 1 for 3 with a blast to center field. David Ortiz, 41 home runs in Toronto, more than any opponent has ever hit. And he was talking the other day in an interview about how much he likes to swing the bat here. I think that's obvious, but he talks about a great hitting background, how comfortable he is here. He says the ball carries really well here.
Certainly does that.
That'll be popped up, foul, and out of play by Hanley, who hit his 23rd in the 5th inning.
You look at the numbers that guys like Bautista and Encarnacion over the last few seasons have been able to put up here. Bautista with 40 last year. Good place to swing the bat.
61 overall against Toronto. They cannot wait for him to retire. They sent him on his way with a big parka, a red parka. Also $10,000 for David's foundation, very generous from the Blue Jays. 0-2 into the dirt.
That's great. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because all I saw was the big jacket. Kind of cool.
Oh, there was a check in the pocket.
Nice.
Nice check.
Garen's got like 4 of those jackets, so I figured, well, you know, it's a nice little gift.
Garen's our checklist.
Yes. A 10 grand for the foundation. David really appreciates that when that happens. I don't think Garen needs that jacket down there today.
No. Beautiful day. The 1-2. Breaking ball inside. There was a game like this earlier in the season which the Red Sox lost. They lost 10-9. Game that ended on an error at first base. And it was back and forth just like this. And they can't wait to see him go.
You kind of assume when these two high-powered offenses get together that there's going to be a lot of back and forth.
The 2-2. Left it downstairs. I didn't think today would be one of those days because of the way Sanchez has pitched all season, the way Clay Buchholz had returned to form, but they both gave up 6 runs in short outings.
Ugly early.
Walks were a real problem for Clay, but the Red Sox have gotten him off the hook with a big offensive outburst again.
See what Hanley gets. 3-2.
Pop foul out of play. Still only the top half of the 6th inning. And the two clubs have combined for 18 runs and 6 homers. A ways to go yet. Travis Shaw on deck. Bases are empty. Thanks to Big Papi. And Benoit with a 3-2. He got him. That retires the side, but the Red Sox get 3 more runs. David Ortiz once again. And the Sox are back in front. Underway here in the bottom half of the 6th inning, in ball 1 to Ryan Goins from Ross, the lefty, working into his 2nd inning. And the Red Sox need somebody in the bullpen to steady this thing now that the Red Sox have a 10-8 lead. Trying to win the series, trying to get out of Toronto with a 2-game lead in the division, heading back to Fenway for 7. Travis will follow, and then Donaldson.
Obviously, you got Robbie Ross in this game to face 2 of the 3 lefties that are in this lineup. But I'm not so sure. He might not get a chance to go a little longer in this one. You still got to bridge a gap.
Ziegler working in the bullpen. Now the count goes to 3-0. And the biggest problem for the Red Sox pitching staff all day has been ball 4 and then the big fly. So Ross has to come all the way back here against a light hitting second baseman. In for a strike. Travis on deck.
You know, certainly in the New England area, everybody knows that Big Papi might be the most clutch player this game has ever seen. Now nationwide they know it.
3-2.
But Dave, sometimes you're clutch in the 6th. Doesn't always have to win a game. It doesn't have to be late.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the most clutch play you can have is what we just saw.
And again, he has a book on Benoit.
Yeah, it's called You Throw It, I Hit It.
Hit it out of the ballpark.
A long way.
The 3-2. Red Sox hoping to get back to Fenway up by 2 games in the division with Price going tomorrow. And the Red Sox in the upcoming series against the Orioles, 3-game series, will have Price and Porcello pitching against Baltimore. The line drive is going to drop down for a base hit into right center. So Goins is on to begin the 6th inning for the Blue Jays.
Well, now they're going to come and get him.
John Farrell has already made the call. He wants Ziegler. With a runner at first base, nobody out, bottom of the 6th inning. Both managers putting in overtime today because the starters failed to go deep. Red Sox ahead 10-8, bottom of the 6th, and more coming up. Why the Boston Red Sox and the rest of America run on Dunkin'. Dunkin' iced coffee is consistently smooth and delicious. Dunkin' Donuts coffee, the #1 coffee in New England. The Boston Red Sox run on Dunkin'. Red Sox ahead 10-8, and the Submariner is in with a nifty 174 earned run average. Red Sox would love a double play ball right here with Travis the batter. Fouled off for a strike.
That is what he offers. A lot of balls way down in the strike zone with a lot of extra movement. You beat it into the ground, you get your double play ball.
Red Sox have quieted Travis today. He's 0 for 3. He's popped up, flied out, struck out. And 3 hits yesterday and 3 on Friday. He's been one of their hottest hitters. And there it is to Bogaerts. To Pedroia. 1, 2.
It's a nice recipe, isn't it?
Travis doubled up. 6-4-3, and they're 2 away.
Watch the hard sinking action of this pitch down in the zone. When you go to hit it, all you do is hit the top half of it. Made to order double play. Matt Ziegler comes in and does exactly what they ask him to do.
With the Red Sox, he's got 4 double plays. He had 10 with Arizona. Here's Donaldson. He has walked twice and scored twice. But he's still in an 0 for 21. Red Sox have been a little too careful with him today. He does have 34 home runs, but has not been seeing it well. A lot of swings like that. And a lot of swings right away on the very first pitch where he's not converting. Not making those hits. Here comes the 0-1. Tap towards short, charging Bogaerts, and he bobbles it. That should have been the 3rd out. That gets the inning to Encarnacion.
Just a little nonchalant right here for Bogaerts. Comes in, gets the ball off the heel of his glove a little bit, and then it scoops right through and out the other end.
It'll be 12 errors on the year for Xander Bogaerts. But it allows this man to hit. Encarnacion already with 2 home runs and a single. 39 for the season. Ziegler should be out of it. And it's fouled away for strike 1.
The only silver lining that can come out of this is that if he gets him out here, he wouldn't have had to worry about facing him next inning to start that inning. But he's got to do the job right here. Not too many silver linings when you make errors.
0-1. A ball, a strike on Encarnacion, who's driven in 115 runs. Red Sox 10, Toronto 8. Donaldson on at first, a tiny lead. In there for a strike. Right at the knee.
So much has been made lately of guys not being able to come in on a clean inning and go in there and do their job. Ziegler's been a closer for a lot of his career.
1-2, waved at and missed. Outside the strike zone at 73. And that'll do it. On this Patriot Day, USAA honors those who have served and all of our service members at home and abroad. on the road. Liverpool return to Anfield. Tune in tomorrow afternoon at 2 as they take on defending Premier League champs Leicester City. We go to the 7th inning in Toronto. The Red Sox with a 10-8 lead. And this is Danny Barnes, the right-hander, as Shaw bunts a foul on a play for a strike. Travis has gone 0 for 3. This is one of those games, if you've been leaving and maybe going watching some football and you're coming back, every time you come back, the score has changed.
And it's a lead change, probably.
Barnes 6 appearances since they brought him up, a 2.89 ERA. And a foul ball by Shaw. Holt on deck, and then Sandy Leon. If anybody reaches Jackie Bradley, who's homered, one of 3 Red Sox to do so. Hanley Ramirez has hit an absolute blast, and David Ortiz struck for a 3-run homer in the 6th inning off Joaquin Benoit to put the Red Sox in front again. It has been a wild one. Brock Holt attempted to steal home, and he was cut down. High pop into left. And Saunders there. So 1 away in the 7th. Time to check out the results of our Dunkin' Donuts poll question. Should Major League Baseball eliminate September call-ups? 61% of you would rather see them. 39% say you want to see them go. So 1 gone, and the bases are empty for Brock Holt, who has walked, does have a stolen base, and has scored a run. He also walked a 2nd time to reach in the 5th inning. He went to 3rd on a misfire by the pitcher on a pickoff attempt.
After he almost got picked off.
After he almost got picked off. There was a review on the play. On the tag at first base.
That was exciting.
Quite a romp around the bases. It ended trying to steal home, but he was out. The 2-0 pitch. And it's going to be interesting to see after this game as the Red Sox come back home what's up with that shoulder of his, because he tweaked it on the dive to first base.
Yeah. And you know, as long as you stay in the game and you stay warm, you can keep moving around. He wakes up tomorrow morning, it might be a different story.
And he's on again.
Great at-bats he's had today.
He walks for the 3rd time here this afternoon, this coming with 1 down. Leon up next.
Maybe they'll try to pick him off. Here's the last time he got caught trying to maybe think about going to 3rd. He was very extended. Then the tag by Encarnacion right on that shoulder. And he was hurt.
Sandy with a walk, a fly out, and he was hit by a pitch. Showing a bunt, but taking a ball. He has proven to be probably the finest bunter the Red Sox have.
One of the reasons why Sandy Leon got the opportunity to play at this level is because he was a pretty well-rounded player overall. Hitting is what lagged behind, not this season.
Runner goes. A shot, it gets by Encarnacion. Holt was on the move. It rolls down the line. Here he comes. Butterfield's going to try and bring him in. A double pump by Bautista, and a run scores without a throw home. Leon into 2nd. 11-8 Boston. Just under the glove of Encarnacion.
Playing a little hit and run right there, I think. You got Holt taken off. He's been so aggressive on the bases today. And then Leon spanked one right past Encarnacion. Tough play, tough hop, couldn't stay in front of it. And then he gets confused out there, Bautista does, not sure where to throw it. Should he come home? Should he go into 2nd base to try to get Leon? In the end, he didn't throw it anywhere.
Jackie Bradley telling him to stay up, stay up. And Brock Holt scores his 2nd run of the game. 11-8 Boston. Sandy into 2nd. We have not heard if that's a single or a double. Single taking 2nd on the throw, or 2 bases.
I got to think it's a double. It really died down there in that right field line, and Sandy was going all the way, trying to get a forced throw to 2nd base.
We're going to go with a 2-base hit.
I like it.
And an RBI. Number 31. And Bautista, oddly for him, very indecisive on that play. Jackie Bradley chasing a high one. He has homered and singled and struck out today.
Dave, I think Sandy had a lot to do with this, where you see Bautista down the line. Here's Butterfield. He's going to send Holt all the way. This ball really slows down. You see Holt, he's going all the way. No question, he's going to be at second with a double. And Bautista didn't throw it anywhere.
0-2. Dustin Pedroia on deck. Petey with 2 more hits today. Xander Bogaerts has 2. Jackie Bradley with 2. And David Ortiz with a 3-run homer. Jackie Bradley has one of those as well. And down into the dirt. Nice stop by Martin.
Remember, we were talking about this turf and how it had sped up. It was so slow when they first put this in last year. But that ball took forever after it got past Encarnacion. It really slowed down going down that right field line, and Leon didn't hesitate.
No, 1 second. 1 out. He's at second base. And foul tip to the mitt. Down he goes, strike 3. 2 away. Top of the order now, Dustin Pedroia. Again, Dustin Pedroia started the day just 11 points behind. I say just 11, but 11 points behind the batting leader, Altuve, who has been at the top of the batting race forever. Lately, he has cooled off. Pedroia has been scalding hot and is now hitting .330. Looking for his 3rd hit here today. A double, a single. He's also lined out to the second baseman and struck out.
That line out to the second baseman was a bullet. Classic Pedroia going the other way. If he gets a 3rd hit in today's ball game, it will be the 18th time he's done it.
0-1, cut on and missed. 2 strikes on Dustin. We're in the 7th inning, and the Red Sox have a 3-run lead. At one point in this game, they led 4-1, and that disappeared. They were also down 8-6. 0-2.
This is one of those games with whatever team you're kind of rooting for. You saw some really good things. Certainly, this Toronto ball club was down early in the game, and they jumped right back with the big grand slam by Tulo. And then took the lead again later in the game.
The righty deals, and it's knocked foul. A little chopper right behind Brian Butterfield.
Most dangerous job in sports is the third base coach when there's a right-handed pull hitter up. Butterfield probably less than 60 feet away from where Petey's standing right now.
He is a brave man. Good to see that helmet on him.
And his job is to pay attention to Leon, so he's not concentrating on what Petey's doing.
These helmets only became mandatory a handful of years ago for the base coaches. The 1-2 down and away. And all even on Dustin Pedroia. Bogaerts would be next. Butter has had a busy day today.
There's a great shot of where he's standing.
Martin out to talk with Barnes.
Oh, he loves it too. He loves it when he's busy down there.
He's waved in 11 today.
Red Sox are happy when Butterfield has to ice his arm after the game.
Red Sox, of course, with 3 home runs this afternoon. Toronto also 3. It's been flying out of here. Here's the 2-2. High fly ball down the left field line. Saunders with a long run to get there, but he'll get there. And retire the side. Sox add another run here in the 7th. They lead at 11-8. USAA, insurance, banking, and investments tailored for the military community. Steve Lyons, Dave O'Brien, Garrett Austin with you here from Toronto. It's been some afternoon. The Red Sox trying to win 2 out of 3 here and put 2 games between themselves and the Blue Jays.
That is the importance, and I'm sure savvy Red Sox fans understand that. You lose this game, you come home tied for the division. You'll win it. You're up 2.
Ziegler staying on. Here's Bautista. Then Martin and Tulowitzki. Very tough part of the order against the slugging Blue Jays. The Red Sox have been slugging right back in there for a strike.
Red Sox trying to finish off what was a pretty good road trip when they took 2 of 3 in each city. If they win this one.
Win this one, the Red Sox come home 6-3 on this trip. 1-1. Went for the downs and he came up empty and takes it out on his bat. Bautista not happy. It's really not going that well for him this season, hitting in the 220s coming into today with 17 home runs.
It's become kind of an all or nothing guy, looking for something off speed and trying to go jump the yard.
That one's foul tip and held by Leon for strike 3. So he goes down swinging.
This one a little bit up in the zone as far as Brett Ziegler is concerned. He doesn't like him up in this area, but he still got it past him with the late movement.
And Bautista, he looked dazzled. One man on the 7th. Here's Martin. He's already whiffed twice and also walked with the bases loaded. That was back in the 3rd inning where the Red Sox saw their 4-1 lead completely evaporate and saw Toronto take a 6-4 lead amidst a bunch of walks. Clay Buchholz just didn't have it today. And it looked bad at that point for the Red Sox.
Sure
now
did.
they're up 11-8 as Abad is moving around in the bullpen. Fouled right there at home plate. So 1-2 the count on Russell Martin.
Russell Martin, who has been the hottest hitter in this lineup, with most of this team struggling. 10 home runs, 25 RBIs in the month of August. He is now 0 for his last 10.
0 for 8 against Ziegler. And he puts him away again on a cut and a miss for strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts, and he has now struck out 3 in a row going back to last inning.
Not even supposed to be a strikeout guy.
Tomorrow at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abboud. Available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Tim Wakefield will preview the Red Sox next series at Fenway against Baltimore. Tulowitzki has not made an out. 3 for 3 with a home run. That was the grand slam in the 3rd. He scored 5 runs in that inning, but the Red Sox came back and tied the ball game the very next inning, and that's really been the way this game has gone. The lead has not been safe. Really now along with Dermody in their bullpen. Here's the 2-0.
Tulo has gone from an MVP type player in Colorado to a guy who's a little bit deeper in the order, but if you forget about him because you're worried about those other big guns, he can hurt you like he did today.
Three balls, 1 strike, bases empty, and 2 down. Barnes along with Abad now in the Boston pen. 3-1. He jumps back, and it is ball 4, so he reaches for the 4th time. Walks have been a major part of the narrative for both teams, and Tulowitzki takes one. Here comes John Farrell. Lefty hitter and Saunders due up. He has Abad ready to go. So Ziegler struck out 3 consecutive batters before walking Tulowitzki. And it's time for the left-hander with 2 down to the 7th, and more coming up in just a moment. Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. TC and Tim Wakefield preview David Price's start against the Orioles. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? John Farrell turns to the bullpen again and brings on the left-hander Fernando Abad. Of course, Price going tomorrow at Fenway against Baltimore. The lefty 1-6, 333, the combined earned run average. And they're going to go to their bench and bring on Melvin Upton, who has had kind of a star-crossed series. Certainly on Friday night, he had a hard time out there in left field just fielding a ground ball after a base hit. And then he bounced back yesterday with a big home run. A 2-run shot against Rodriguez.
Yeah, this was a pitch that just sailed right into his barrel. He didn't miss it. Rough day the day before, comes back big.
Abad becomes the 11th relief pitcher to be used by the two clubs combined. And we're in the 7th inning. And the first pitch will just miss for ball 1. Upton traded to Toronto from San Diego in July. The Padres were actually playing here when it happened, so he just changed dugouts and uniforms. The former BJ Upton. Across for a strike. He went back to Melvin, hoping Melvin is a better hitter than BJ.
BJ was a pretty good hitter for a long time, and then he went south. And then Melvin showed up.
2 out, Tulowitzki on. Ground ball behind third, knocked down by Shaw. Long throw, will he get him? No. Both runners are going to be safe. Down to second, Tulowitzki. Had a shot, but Hanley couldn't dig it out. And they're on at first and second. That'll be an error on Shaw.
Yeah, you got to hope that this play doesn't come back to hurt you, because it should have been made twice. Shaw gets over there, he backhands it, but then kicks it a little bit. Now, Hanley has a chance to scoop it over at first, and he's unable to do it.
Came out of the glove. And that'll do it for Abad. John Farrell goes to the bullpen again. He's going to bring on Barnes. That'll be for Pilar. 2 down, 2 on. 11-8 Boston. More coming up. Of Stand Up to Cancer. We invite you to share your hashtag reasons to stand up by posting a photo or video of why you stand up to cancer and tag @CBS in action. Red Sox leading 11-8, but no lead is safe on this Sunday afternoon in Toronto. Here comes Barnes. It's all a question of which version of Matt Barnes is going to show up.
Sometimes he gets a little wild and has trouble finding the strike zone. We've talked a lot about facing a guy like Pilar who loves to swing the bat. You just got to get close enough to entice him to do so.
First two men in the inning struck out, but then a walk and an error opens the door here for Pilar, who's gone 0 for 3. Starts him off with a breaking ball that is a called strike. Pilar doesn't like that call at all. Thought it was up.
That's a gift right there, Dave. I wouldn't like this very much if I was hitting.
Really taking his time to get back in.
Big breaking ball up in the zone. Gets the call. Sandy frames it.
Two down and two aboard. And the 0-1. Slap to short. Bogarts to Pedroia, and the Red Sox are out of the inning. So Barnes does his job here in the 7th. Still 11-8 Red Sox. Xfinity, Clay Buchholz a short outing, but also true of Sanchez of Toronto in a game that has seen a bunch of home runs and one pitching change after another, but a lot of big hits too. And none bigger than from the man on deck, David Ortiz, a 3-run homer in the 6th inning to put the Red Sox in front after Xander Bogaerts had singled. And he has 2 of them today to get his batting average back to 300 and 2 RBIs.
Doing what he does best, going up the middle the other way. It's been effective for him today.
He's also now scored over 100 runs. He's at 101 for the season.
It was a huge base hit for him in the 4th with 2 outs. That drove in 2 runs earlier in this game.
83 RBIs now for Xander. That's a career high. And he lets that one pass for a ball. Upton staying in the game to play left field. It was a dangerous place for him to be on Friday.
Anywhere in the field.
The 2-2 in there for strike 3, and that might have been some kind of a makeup call because that was not real close to being a strike.
Well, it's been a long, wild ride, but boy, you can lose your concentration back there. That didn't look like a good pitch. Gibbons coming back out one more time. Watch location. They're trying to go the other way. He misses location by 2 feet. It's in off the plate, and he gets the call anyway.
Gibbons out to make another change. These bullpens, they're going to get used today, and they have been at a very high number. We'll take the break as well. Red Sox ahead 11-8 here in the top of the 8th inning. moving moment brought to you by Old Dominion.
Mr. Clutch of all time, David Ortiz with a 3-run Johnson to put the Red Sox up again in this ball game. Is there a more clutch player in the history of the game?
Old Dominion helping the world keep promises. Big Papi with number 32. That was up Benoit in the 6th inning to put the Sox back in front. Matt Dermody out of their bullpen, the left-hander, who started the year in A ball. He's only made 2 major league appearances. Pitched exceptionally well and didn't walk anybody in the minors and jumping every level. David bluffing a bunt and looking at a strike. Bases are empty with 1 down here in the 8th. Dermody is the 13th reliever combined for the 2 clubs and the 15th pitcher here this afternoon.
This has been a long, wild ride.
Fastball in tight.
Red Sox fans living up in Toronto, this may be the very last opportunity to see David Ortiz at the plate. They're getting a picture of it.
But he was not cheered when he came up to bat. The fans knowing this is probably it. A wave and a miss. I think he stole away some of their goodwill with that 3-run homer.
I think that would be correct.
Which they have seen many, many times here. He's homered here 41 times in his career and 61 times against Toronto, the most by any opponent. And a cut and a miss. He is retired on strikes.
You can understand why this kid stormed through the minor league system to the big leagues.
Well, now they're going to give David an ovation as he walks away. They waited for the at-bat. David did gesture to the fans on his way down the dugout steps. Once again, he does damage to the Blue Jays, however. And here's Betts. Mookie 1 for 3 with a run-scoring double over the head of Pilar in the very first inning that probably should have been caught. It gave the Red Sox the first run. Ortiz actually scored it all the way from first after taking ball 4. Top half of the 8th inning here at Rogers Center. Great to have you with us. Been some game. And the Red Sox are in front 11-8. He has to jump back out of the way on that one.
Oh, we put the list up there about the things that I'll talk about after the game. That list could be like 18 subjects long.
Several pages.
Pick 6 of them.
The 2-1. 2-2.
Mookie a little upset with himself that he took that pitch. Good pitch to hit.
Mookie still leading the majors in total bases. Added to that with a double today. Here's the 2-2. Cut on and missed on a pitch in the dirt, and Martin will flip on to get him and retire the side. The Red Sox strike out 3 times in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 11-8 Boston. Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Doctors and scientists are working together on therapies of the future today, from developing new treatments to delivering leading compassionate care. Learn more at vidmc.org/cancer center. Last half of the 8th inning. Koji Uehara making an appearance out of the bullpen. He finished up Friday night's win here with a scoreless night. Reinstated from the disabled list on Monday. And John Farrell talked about getting him into lower stress situations than this.
It's Koji time. A little sooner than he would have liked it to have been.
Goins tags that liner, but foul. He's gone 1 for 3 today with a single.
It's funny the way this game just doesn't really work out the way you'd like it to all the time. John Farrell's forced into putting Koji into this situation. I think John Farrell's very, very happy with what he's seen from Koji so far, but just wanted to see a little bit more of it before he jammed him into a spot where your blood's pumping a little harder.
Two strikes on Goins. Travis next, then Donaldson.
Split finger time.
The 0-2. He skips it to the plate. Red Sox got up early in the first inning, 1-0. Toronto quickly tied it 1-1. Red Sox went up 4-1 on the Jackie Bradley 3-run shot. And in a matter, it felt like just a handful of batters, the Red Sox were down 6-4. Cut on and missed on the splitter in the dirt, and he strikes him out.
I think he's got a good feel for that pitch.
Let's go down to Garen.
Thanks, OB. Join Nesson next Friday for an introspective look at Big Papi's extraordinary career. David Ortiz, The Journey, presented by Foxwoods Resort Casino, is a Nesson special that features exclusive commentary from Big Papi himself about his life on and off the field. Don't miss the premiere of David Ortiz, The Journey, at 10 p.m. next Friday, September 16th. OB?
All right, Garen, thank you. Travis next. He's gone 0 for 4. Came in as a very hot hitter. The Red Sox have quieted him. He has flied to right, popped the first, struck out, and hit into a double play. Still hitting .301, having a fine offensive year. Donaldson on deck. Red Sox with a 3-run lead here in the bottom of the 8th inning. To the shortstop. Bogart's off balance, nothing on that throw, and Travis is on with a base hit. So they have a man on with one away.
Bogart spent a long time trying to round this ball off. See if we see it in this view of it, just off the end of his bat. Watch Bogarts at the top of your screen. See him kind of slow down, try to get to the point where he can backhand it. Then he had nothing on that throw.
Yeah, it was a tentative approach, knowing Travis runs well.
Runs too well.
Donaldson now. 0 for 2, reached on an error by Bogarts last time up. Without a hit in his last 22 at bats. Although he has walked twice. He pops a foul out of play for a strike.
And you know he's swinging at that first pitch.
So the Red Sox were down 6-4 on the Tulowitzki grand slam. Came back and tied it on the Bogarts 2-run single at 6-6. Sox fell behind again 8-6 on the Encarnacion home run, only to rally to lead 11-8. David Ortiz with the big blow, a 3-run homer. And the count 0-2.
This is what some of the pitches earlier on in this game, Buchholz did not do to Donaldson, just challenge him. You got a guy out there in Uehara that has the second slowest fastball of any reliever who's thrown more than 30 innings, and he just challenged him with 2 fastballs. 0-2.
Craig Kimbrell is warming up in the pen. Here comes the 0-2 to Donaldson. He skipped it, knocked down by Leon, and the runner holds. There just haven't been many opportunities for the Red Sox closer to work for a save in recent games.
Yeah. Hard to stay sharp when you don't get regular work. And we know Kimbrel, even with regular work, can be a little scary sometimes, throwing a lot of pitches.
He has 24 saves. Koji's 1-2. And a little rattler foul. Donaldson even in the slump. A very dangerous guy with 34 homers and 92 RBIs.
I think Donaldson understands that he's probably going to see another split finger here.
Travis at first base, one down. Red Sox ahead 11-8 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ground ball to third. Up with it, Shaw. To Pedroia, one on to first. Got him! A double play. The Red Sox turn 2. Koji coming through. To the 9th, 11-8 Boston. As we go to the 9th inning in Toronto, the Red Sox ahead 11-8. They have out-hit Toronto 10-8. Both sides have stranded 6 men. And yet another pitcher making an appearance. Ryan Tepera, for the 13th time on the year, becomes the 15th reliever in this game.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Only in September after the call-ups would you see a game like this.
17 pitchers already have thrown in this game by the two clubs combined. Hanley Ramirez launched a home run in the 5th inning that traveled 444 feet. Got the Red Sox to within 1 at that point, 8-7.
Another pitcher that doesn't throw hard enough to get the ball past Hanley Ramirez.
Pops that one foul, and that'll reach the stands.
Hanley was just all over that pitch.
He's 23rd. He's driven in 94 runs. He's had an outstanding trip with 10 RBIs in the 9 games. The helmet comes off there. The count 1 ball and 2 strikes. He and Dustin Pedroia have been the best part of the engine for the Red Sox on this trip.
So good all trip long. They've been so good in the entire second half. Both of these guys have had excellent seasons overall.
Tepera with a 1-2. Waved at and missed. Down he goes, strike 3. In fact, the last 4 Red Sox have struck out.
Hanley missed the best pitch he was going to see to hit, and that was the pitch before that. Had to deal with that nasty slider right there for strike 3.
Travis Shaw has gone 0 for 4 today, and he's committed an error at third base. He has homered on the first pitch twice on this road trip.
And I think he's going to be looking to ambush a first pitch here, too.
Did not get a pitch to swing at. High for ball 1. Travis with 4 extra base hits and 9 RBIs in the 5 games he has played on this road swing. Popped up. First baseman coming on. Encarnacion with the grab. 2 down. Now Kimbrel continues to get ready. He's going to be facing a very, very tough part of the order. He's going to get Encarnacion, Bautista, and Martin, the men to face him in the bottom of the 9th.
Exactly the way he likes it. Give me your best, see what we can do.
Brock Holt with 3 walks today and a stolen base. He scored twice. Also jammed a shoulder diving back into first. And he lines that one into center field for a base hit.
He's had an outstanding day today.
Yeah, a series of excellent at bats.
Even the attempted steal of home was so much fun. Very unexpected.
Red Sox now at 11 hits. Sandy Leon has 1 of them, a double. His last time up. That drove in a run. That scored Brock Holt. To give the Red Sox a little more wiggle room, as the Red Sox look to come home 6-3 on this huge trip and take 2 out of 3 in Toronto and come home with a 2-game lead in the American League East.
That's the big one.
Still work to be done to make sure all that happens, but you've got to consider that an exceptional road trip if all of that comes to pass. And at a clutch time.
When you go on the road for 9 games and come back with a bigger lead than you left with, got to be happy.
Holt at first base with 2 down. And back in on his feet this time.
Holt's been on base 4 times today with 2 hits and 2 walks, scored twice, stole a base, got thrown out trying to steal home.
In fact, when the Red Sox left to go to Oakland, they were 2 games out as that one is fouled away. So trying to go from that to -2 to +2.
4-game swing in 9 games. And you don't cry about what happened, but you almost look back at the trip and say the 2 games you lost in both Oakland and San Diego were both very, very winnable games.
Well, particularly the one in Oakland, because Erod had the no-hit bid going. And the Red Sox let that slip away and would eventually lose that ball game 1-0. But I don't know if anybody on this team is going to mention that or be crying about that if they win here today.
Nope.
I would highly doubt it. It would be considered a big success this trip. 3-1. And he popped him up. Catcher Martin back toward the netting, but it's over the top of the screen. There was a real sense of dread for the Red Sox today when Tulowitzki ripped the grand slam in the 3rd inning to put them in the lead 6-4, and all the work the Red Sox had done to get that lead, that 4-1 lead, went up in smoke. But it kept on coming back all afternoon.
That's why I thought that 2-out base hit by Xander Bogaerts to tie it back up was huge in this game.
3-2, Holt running. Swung on and missed, and down he goes, strike 3. So it's time for Craig Kimbrel. We are heading for the last half of the 9th. The Red Sox leading 11-8. in Toronto and put the Red Sox back to 2 games ahead in division play over the Blue Jays. We flash back to April the 16th against Toronto, and he was absolutely deadly.
Facing the middle of that order again, just blew 3 guys away. He's going to face something very similar to that right now.
Encarnacion to lead it off here in the bottom of the 9th inning. He has belted 2 home runs today and singled, driving in 3 runs for the Blue Jays. Right through there, 97 for strike 1.
The thing that makes Kimbrel so tough is that he throws so hard and then has a good breaking ball. Encarnacion cannot afford to look for anything but that fastball. But if he cheats to commit to it, he's got no chance of hitting the breaking ball.
A ball and a strike. Bautista on deck. Just a week ago, Toronto led the division by 2. The Red Sox hoping to leave town ahead by 2. And Kimbrel with a 1-1. Could not get him to offer, and it goes all the way to the backstop. Bob's Discount Furniture is going to bat for the Jimmy Fund again this year. Bob will donate $1,000 to the Jimmy Fund for every game saved. Everybody saves at Bob's, the only choice for untouchable furniture value. Available in store or at mybobs.com. Tried to check his swing, and he did on a pitch inside at 97. 3-1. Kimbrel with precious few save opportunities lately. The 3-1 and a strike. The Red Sox have won on this trip. It's tended to be by a very big number.
Closer doesn't get any good work when you're either winning big or losing.
Encarnacion struck out last time up, the 3-2, and he jerked that one all the way to the backstop for ball 4. So they have a base runner here in the bottom of the 9th.
That is always the worry with Kimbrel, is that he yanks his pitches. Usually if he's missing in the left-handed hitter's batter's box. This one on a 3-2 pitch where you gotta throw it over the plate, he's not even close. Hanging on to that ball a little bit too long, and you yank it all the way to the other side.
Here's Bautista. He's walked twice. He's also struck out and lined to left. He looks at a strike. 11 runs, 11 hits for the Sox. 8 runs on 8 hits for Toronto. Both sides have homered 3 times. Went with a breaking ball and he missed. 1-1.
Has not thrown a breaking ball for a strike.
So Martin on deck. Neither Bautista or Martin have a hit today. Encarnacion with the lead and the 1-1. Fouled off the catcher. That
again.
One off of Leon again, who's had that bell rung a couple of times today.
Straight back off the forehead of Sandy Leon. Talking about a fastball in the high 90s, barely ticked by the bat. It's not slowing it down much, and then right off of that face mask.
Brad Pearson asking those questions right away to make sure it's not any kind of a concussion issue.
You mean like, where are you?
That might have been one of them. And Leon will hang in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kimbrel eyeing the strikeout. Got him.
I love it.
One away.
I have a 3-run lead. I have one of the nastiest fastballs in the world. That's what I'm using to get guys out. I'm not messing around with too much. Good old country hardball to a guy that we've already talked about has a little trouble these days catching up with it.
Ran it right up the ladder. Now Martin, who has struck out 3 times today, he also walked with the bases loaded to force in a run in the 3rd. As part of this crazy game, just off the edge, called ball 1.
So Martin has some history with Kimbrel. Big hit in a ball game up here in Toronto earlier in the year.
And he's 3 for 5 off him. Fly ball down the line, slicing into the corner. That's well hit, but it is also a fair ball. Heading into third base, Encarnacion, and into second base, Martin. He's got himself a double.
Mookie thinks this was a foul ball. We may be looking at Mookie's coming in saying that ball hit the wall in foul territory.
Sure is. And John Farrell wants them to look at it. This play is about to go under review. Ruled a double on the field by the first base umpire. And now they get together to see if another umpire saw it differently.
It's a tough angle for us up here in the booth, way down in that corner. Foul ball, as he's calling right now, Jim Joyce.
Yes. And here comes Gibbons out to argue it. But ruled a foul ball. They overturned the original call. And so Encarnacion has to go back to first base. This is the best look we have for you as you watch it come down.
Mookie has the best look of anybody, and he was on it all over it right away, saying, wait, that hit in foul territory. The umpires did it old school way. They got together to make the call. Now Gibbons, I think, wants to review it.
That's correct. As well he should.
You have to at this point in the ball game. I like it, though. I like the fact that the umpires got together and said, all right, who had the best view of this? And they made a call, reversed a call, actually. And now Gibbons makes the decision to go ahead and review it. Toronto fans are seeing a review of it. They think it's a fair ball, but why wouldn't they?
Well, you know what? Their reaction is not so overwhelming, and they didn't get a great look at it either. So I'm not so sure if they're reacting on that. Some of them obviously are pleading for it to be a double, but it's not like you had 47,000 people going crazy when they saw the replay.
Now,
this, by the way, is a crew chief review. Gibbons came out and asked them to look at it. And that's why they are doing it.
And also originally ruled a double, but then overruled on the field. So the play stands right now as a foul ball. So if they don't have enough evidence to reverse that call, it's a foul ball.
I'll tell you what, they better have a better angle than what we just saw.
And they may not. And if they don't, how can they reverse it? This is an amazing play, something we haven't seen, where the call originally gets changed on the field and then goes to review.
They may have a better look at it than the one we were able to provide you, however, because they get Toronto television as well, and they have the advantage of having the cameras set up exactly where they want them in their own ballpark, just as we do at Fenway.
Taking a long look, it's a crucial call, no question about that. Kimbrel, in the meantime,
they do have an answer, by the way. And it is going to be a foul ball. So they hold up. And here comes Gibbons. Wants to share his thoughts here with Jim Joyce. But on review, it is a foul ball. Encarnacion back to first. And Martin back in the box.
You know what I think Gibbons' complaint is right now is that the play got changed on the field. He said, look, if the original call was a double and then you guys don't have enough view to change that call. Why did you change it to foul ball on the field before we got a chance to review it?
But they have the right to do that.
I believe that's correct as well.
They can conference, and if another umpire, before they ever go to review, has a better look at it, they are within their right to do that. Obviously, he's not happy at all.
And that situation completely benefited the Red Sox.
So instead of second and third and one man out,
Jim Joyce,
I think he just ran him.
Just ran him, and he wasn't even arguing with him. And this, you know, Dave, this rarely happens in the game anymore because of replay. They make their decision and you sit down. So when an umpire comes out or a manager comes out after the decision has been made, you're pretty sure he's going to get tossed.
But let's be clear, he doesn't have all the angles. And even though, yes, the umpires conference and changed their original call, instead of a double, a foul ball, they in New York may have had a much better angle. And Gibbons has not been able to see that. He hasn't seen a single angle.
And this just adds to another play of the craziest plays we've seen today.
The managers never see the replay before they ask for a review. That's done back in the video room.
I think there's no question he's arguing the situation and the way it came down. They changed the call, and now he doesn't get benefit of the replay.
So to count 1 ball and 1 strike on Martin with 1 down. And I don't know, all the way to the backstop, down to second base goes Encarnacion.
And did he swing?
No, he did not swing. They appealed to the first base umpire Joyce. He said no swing. That'll be a wild pitch and no swing.
That was awfully close.
Kimbrel is wild coming out of the bullpen today.
A little bit rusty, but we always know that it's going to be a big show when he comes out there. Lots of pitches.
Red Sox leading 11-8 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Trying to take the series, trying to go back on top of the division by 2 games over the Blue Jays. And a foul back and a big cut by Russell Martin, who does have 17 homers.
Russell Martin has done a good job in his career against Kimbrel, timing that fastball.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Tulowitzki on deck. 2-2, and he froze him with the breaking ball, and down he goes, strike 3.
That is unfair right there.
Woo. Big hook to set him down, and they're a 2 away.
Let's check out the pitch sequence to Martin, who's been a tough customer for Kimbrel. He abused him here. There's a fastball away. Martin just spits on that one. And this one gets a good piece of that down the line. Obviously, it was a close call down there, ruled a foul ball. Then a slider that was just out of control. Then another fastball that Martin's all over, and then this.
Tulowitzki swinging a drive to right field, backing up Betts on the track. He's there, he makes the catch, and the Red Sox win it. 11-8 the final. What a ball game.
Wow.
And what an ending. As the Red Sox knock off Toronto and are now once again 2 games up in the division. They also lead Baltimore by 2 and the Yankees by 4. The creative dancing continues. Jackie Bradley, a big part of it today with a 3-run homer.
Oh man, that was this. I mean, this Red Sox offense was clutch all day long, being able to come back. This is an excellent victory. We've talked about heartbreaking losses. This is an exhilarating win for this team.
In front of 47,816 who will go home very unhappy. The Red Sox wind up the road trip at 6-3 today. 16